Humans have an inherent prejudice against cows and unaccompanied minors.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Jeff Onan.
And I'm Mitchell Wolfe. I knew I was going to be last, but I didn't know if we all knew that.
It was age-based.
Oh.
Because Mitchell and I are twins, but I was the first twin to come out of the vagina.
Yeah, I was just I wanted to make sure I was being a completionist and finding all of the jiggies and stuff.
Mitchell held the door open for me like a gentleman.
All right, well, this is great. This is this kind of banter I was missing the past week. Since the last time we all sat around and talked in humiliating fashion about our personal preferences. This is the DKU Double Draft 2025 analysis episode. So, what has happened, Jeff, since the last time we all sat around? Last time we all sat around, the three of us, we did an episode of the Kongversation, and it was the second. It was the second year of the DKU Draft concept, and we decided we were going to get all mock angry at each other and get really insulting and hurtful. And I think you both realized after the fact, as did I, we maybe took it too far.
I don't know. Well, Hyle, yeah, we'll comment on that. But you did ask me what has happened since the last time we podcast, and I wanted to say that in that time frame, the Pope died, and then a new Pope was born, like a little miniature Colin Robinson. We have another Pope, and he's a Chicago Pope. Da Pope, like Chicago, you guys know
he's
that.
From down under.
Da prayers, or whatever they say.
Do you think this might be the easiest prediction of a upcoming Saturday Night Live skit?
Oh, they got time.
They're going to bring back the Bears, right? For sure.
Right. So at least Smigel, and then whoever, maybe they could. Well, actually, the host coming up is from the show The Righteous Gemstones, so maybe they could get that host's co-star John Goodman back in as one of Da Bears fans, and you get Smigel back, and then I don't know who else.
Who's going to be the Pope?
Right, you're gonna do a stunt cast on Da Pope.
Yeah,
but I was thinking
be
Michael,
one of the junior cast members elevating themselves to a new
character. Maybe Michael Longfellow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's on Saturday Night Live, the TV show. So we've all got it figured out, and
Jeff,
all that.
Can I just point out really quick the eerie link between the analysis episode and the actual special? Because on the special, I announced to you that Steve Mongo McMichael of the 1985 Chicago Bears passed away, and you were like, "Oh no, Mongo." The Pope died, and then he came back as a Chicago Bear. Could he be a reincarnated Mongo?
Oh, snap. That's true. Mongo's back, baby. All right. If you didn't listen to the last one, then this has all been nonsense. So let me just tell you right now, we've done a thing, and the thing is called the DKU Draft. It's where we all took turns picking things to make a little team, and then we're going to put our teams head to head and see which team wins. And it was fun. It was a cute little thing. But if you missed out, you're going to want to go ahead and go back and listen to that, because it's 2 episodes ago in the Kongversation season. What number is it, Hyle?
It's 1308.
700 and... Oh, 13? We're so far. Oh, wow. 1308. So if you go back to the Kongversation podcast, episode 1308, how are there 1,300 episodes of the Donkey Kong podcast? It's, it's for you to find out.
I mean, they just did announce Bonanza. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's 100 episodes between April 2nd and now.
That's true. So go back and listen to that episode. But if you need a little quick recap, what we did is we picked some stuff, we made a team of things, then we put them to a vote, and the voters were the DK Vine patrons that are on patreon.com/DKVine or dkvine.com/Patreon. Both are true.
Swings both ways.
It swings both ways.
Just like Mitchell didn't really have to hold the door open for you.
It swings both ways. Or like how the Pope is dying and reborn in the same, it's I don't know Catholicism. But I'm Catholicism curious though. I hear that they eat wine at church. I want a little bit of that.
They gobble up that wine. They
make like a weekend thing out of fish. That's just fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah,
buckets of wine.
Yeah, Fish Friday. That alliterates. We want that. So, we picked some things. The patrons, if you were to become a patron, you could vote. Although it's too late.
There's always
get ready for next year.
Yeah,
get ready for next year. Get yourself situated. Get acquiesced. That's not the right word. Get acquainted.
You really don't want it to take you by surprise.
You want to get ready and get situated before you vote, which will be next year.
Can I just say though, we're making fun, we're laughing, we're having a good chortle, but we did get new patrons specifically because they wanted to vote in this. So thank you to everyone who was actually engaged with this content.
Yeah, the new patron specifically, who became the next Pope, got in under the wire. He became a patron and then became a Pope. So it was a really eventful month for that guy.
I really just feel like everybody got into like the conclave kick and they wanted to be a part of something. But most of them, not being Cardinals, they had to settle for the DK Vine Patreon.
Yeah, the conclave. But because they do not play for Arizona, they couldn't be Cardinals. Little NFL humor. This is the sports episode of the Donkey Kong podcast, so we like to put a little NFL humor in there.
Oh, can I leave?
No,
is it too late?
No, come on in. It's
Mitchell. This is to indulge
team
Jeff.
Sport.
This is to indulge Jeff. That gets it out of his system. It's like taking your kid to the zoo. It's not for us.
Okay.
Yeah, and if your kid is a monkey, he really wants to go to the zoo. I don't know where this is going.
Your uncle's one too.
All right, I'm taking the reins back, Jeff. You've lost your ref privileges.
I just wanted to point out all of the due diligence, but I'm bad at it. So, Hyle, can you wrap it up with the due diligence for me?
Yeah, no, thank you to our DK Vine patrons. Keeps the lights on, especially in these fraught economic times. And look, even beyond that, you want independent Donkey Kong journalism now more than ever. With a new Donkey Kong game coming out, who do you trust? Who do you really trust to be the voice giving you Donkey Kong news? You want the big corporate websites giving you Donkey Kong news, or do you want the beat on the street?
You're the voice, try to understand, yeah.
The jungle beat on the street.
Yeah.
All right.
No, now Jeff, do the thing.
And then we're on Blue Sky too. So anyway. So thanks everyone. By the way, if you become a patron, you can listen to these episodes live, like some people are doing right now. The rest of you idiots, in the future, what is it? Is it even May still? We're recording this in May. You might be listening to this in June or next year. That's okay. We're happy to have you. But if you want to get in on the ground floor, you get on patreon.com, become a patron. You can listen to this live, like March Rose 2011 in our live stream chat, like Giga Strike 2 in a live stream chat, like hundreds of others. I don't have time to list them all. I don't have time to name all the names. There's so many names. I don't have time, but so many names are all in there, and we could name your name if you get in there, and we could read your comment.
The new Pope is in there twice because he's got his old name and he's got his new Pope name.
Yeah, and we don't dead name popes. He is Leo. Now,
Leo, yeah.
I think. Leo. So, congratulations to the Pope, I think.
Congratulations to Pope Leo the 14th. We're really proud of him.
That's what this has all been about. So, all right. Great. Let's get into it. The DKU draft, it happened. It's already over. And you guys, you all went online and you voted. And you determined the winner. We don't know the winner. Maybe Hyle might know. I don't know it. Mitchell certainly doesn't know it.
No,
Who's
I
the
voted
winner?
early for I always just vote for the most southernly located candidate.
Wow.
You know, whoever it is. And I voted early when not many votes were in, and then I dipped out. Didn't want to see anymore.
Fair.
I did not look. I had to give you the results, which meant I had to download them and snag them from the available Patreon polls, but I averted my eyes. I converted everything into a PDF and a PNG file and looked away while I did it. So I am as much in the dark as I can be, despite the whispers I have heard from our patrons telling me how poorly I've done. So,
Okay.
You know, I expected that going into this. Honestly, I expect to lose. If you expect to lose, you're never going to be disappointed.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a fun life, but
I'm a little more optimistic this time. Last time, I think I knew I lost. Like, we walked away from the recording, and I was like, "Well, that was a fun thing to lose." And then this time, I don't know. I don't think I definitely won. At all. I think I might have a chance for middle this time, unlike last time. That's where I'm at.
I have walked away thinking it is anyone's game. Anyone can win this. And no, really, last time I really did feel a high level of confidence. And I think if you listen back to the recording,
it shows that you felt that.
From 2024 and the one from 2025, the differences in my demeanor, I went from being a confident, cocky guy, sort of known as an asshole. And then in the other one we did this most recent time, I transformed into a whiny baby man because I didn't think I was winning. And that's just sort of an Easter egg. If you guys go back and listen, I'm sure you didn't notice it the first time through. But if you go back, now that I've said that, you might notice that.
Before we talk about the actual results, and I know I'm stepping on Jeff's format a little bit here, I would love if we could just talk a little post-game, how we felt about how we did, how we felt about how it all went down.
We're going to do that.
Before we know about the results.
Absolutely, we're going to do that. And Mitchell, you, last season, the very first annual DKU draft, you didn't get to sit in on the draft analysis episode because you were bogged in a swamp.
I know. Yeah. You know what? You know what's funny is I remember that being the fiction. I do not actually at all remember what I was doing, so it may be true. it might as well be actual fact.
You texted me, can't make it in a swamp, and I said, question mark, and then you said back, bogged in a swamp. I was like, what? Okay, all right. So that was all we had to go on. We had to run with that. I don't know. We're glad you made it, but
Thanks. Me too.
Here, so just so you all know, the audience and the Mitchell, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna tell you all the results, but we're gonna beat around the bush because the Kongversation podcast is usually anywhere from 90 minutes to 5 hours long.
5 hours. Yeah, we both said 5 hours. We know it to be true.
Yeah, we know it to be true. But this one's not going to be 5 hours. But we don't want it to be 20 minutes either. You know, the 20 minutes is too few. So we're going to talk a little bit of other stuff. Before we get into our own draft, and I'm going to recap everything that happened on that draft. You know, what were the games we picked? What were the characters we picked? What am I talking about? What is the point? All of this, we're going to recap it. But before we get into that...
Can I just interject, though, Jeff? The point
please.
because this all just seems like we're huffing our own farts here. And...
A little.
if I may try to elevate what we're doing just a tad bit, this is just a fanciful way of discussing and comparing games within our fandom and finding a new way to interact and celebrate the things that we love and the things that we've spent over a decade on the Kongversation talking about. That's all this is.
Sorry, hey, I accidentally left myself muted. I got a new microphone and I'm still learning it. This thing is high tech. I recently
it has one
had
mute
to,
button and no other buttons.
It has a mute button that blinks at you when you're muted. And
Yeah.
I when I got this microphone, I had to learn about what a cardioid shape is. I found out that the word gain is not just about scent beads, which before now I've been kind of tuning it out because I can't smell. It's all in there. So sorry about the muting with the microphone. But yeah, Hyle, just so you know, you don't have to justify why we do this. It's your podcast.
Okay. But
It's
also,
fun to do, and I like playing a game against my friends. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, Jeff,
It's a game about games.
You pitched this concept to me. I'm not really much of a games person. I don't really like games, be they board or video
Man,
or whatnot.
this is a rough time to admit that. Just
13 episodes in. 13 seasons in.
26 years in.
26 years, 13 seasons.
I'm just the kid that the parents took to the zoo because they wanted to see monkeys. That's really what I'm in it for.
You're the
but
monkey kid.
I'm the monkey kid, but you pitched this to me and I'm like, I like to keep the DK Vine staff, my co-hosts, my friends. I like to keep them happy and I like to give them the chance to have a creative outlet. So I was like, let's do it. And then people seem to like it. So I was like, let's keep doing it. But, I feel like sometimes I have to justify it from within my own perspective, or else I just feel like I've lost complete control of my life.
Honestly, I love a podcast that is also a game. That's a good time. I just think that's a good
It's
time.
fun.
It's
We
a
all want that.
well-proven format. It's good.
I when I invented the entire idea of drafting,
Yeah.
I thought this would be fun to do on podcasts. So we're going to get into all of it. Before we talk about our own results, though, we have, what do you call it? A side attraction, because DKVine.com, we're on Twitch. You can watch us stream video games on Twitch, and by us, I mean often Hyle and others. One of the things that happens on the DK Vine Twitch is that every Tuesday night at TuesdayNights.com, Tuesdays nights, the Idaho Crew streams. This is a sort of a, what would you call them?
Militia.
Not a cult, not a militia. They're a commune, a commune
like a
that
bundle.
lives in a bungalow. They live in Idaho, and there's, at this point, we don't know how many, and we don't know if they're gathering firearms or soup cans or what. We don't know what they do there, but they do stream on the DK Vine Twitch, and as a companion piece to the DKU Double Draft that we recorded 2 weeks ago on the Kongversation podcast, they did their own draft, and we're gonna, because they're not here to defend themselves, we're gonna recap their little stream draft and give our thoughts on it and the results. It won't take too long, but we also, because they're not here, we get to razz them a little bit. We get to roast them up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sound like it's fun. Yeah.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like my ego is going to take a beating on this episode, so if I can punch down, that will really help me.
Yeah. Your father that is a living planet in the Marvel universe is going to get a beating? What? What a good reference. We're moving on. So,
What?
you said the word ego, and I did a reference. So
Yes, Kurt
Very-
Russell is
very
my
cool.
father.
Yeah, Jeff got really hyped up about me seeing Thunderbolts last night. So, we're all about the MCU right now.
It's all I can think about. He gave it a 5 out of 7.
I did. I gave it a 5 out of 7. It's a good time.
Well, let's do one thing at a time. I want a quick recap what the draft format was this year. We actually did 2 drafts, and that's where the name Double Draft comes from. When we went through the process, we took turns picking things to put on our team, but we were actually building 2 different teams at the same time. Every time it was your turn to pick, you had to decide, should I pick something for my first team or for my other team? And we're building 2 lists. One of those lists was all-star DKU characters. What character is the best to pick? And once that character gets picked, no one else can pick it. So we're fighting over the best characters, and we did that. Then we also, at the same time, were building a list of DKU games, but we already did that one. We already did that one last year on the Kongversation podcast. And so we thought we're going to do it again, but this time, all of the games that had been picked last year, they were off limits. They were off the board. They are already out there playing in the
Snow.
In the snow in the NFL.
That's where they
in
are.
The snow. They can't be on your team now because they're already drafted.
They're too
to
cold.
Some other team. They're too cold. They're gonna melt. That's not what that. No, they're gonna freeze. Where is it? Where's this analogy?
Speaking of
We'll find
freeze,
it.
Freezer has joined us in the live stream.
Let's take a look. I have to switch tabs. All right. And I'm looking
They
down.
say this is the only way GBA games could be, get picked. Yeah, it's probably true.
Yeah, so the only way
yeah.
GBA games get picked is if the first 15 best games in the DKU, if those get taken off the board, and you've got to pick what we've been calling the second bananas DKU games, at that point, yeah, you really start paying attention to the Game Boy Advance Nintendo console, because some of them exist. So that happened. We picked games, we picked characters, and after we did it, the Idaho Crew also did the same thing. They picked games, they picked characters, they did a snake draft. There's so many of those guys. How many fuckers are there in that house? All right, there's an Adam, an Andrew, a Dustin, a Cameron, and also they had Tate, but Tate played it special. I don't know. I think that on last year's episode,
we don't know the rules to Tate.
Boom, there it is. We don't know the rules to Tate, because the rules to Tate seem to change each time, and the rules this time were that Tate for games, Tate submitted a list of games he wanted, 5 main ones and 5 backups, and then they just gave him those games at the very end if they had not yet been taken. So Tate got his own leftovers, and then Tate didn't even pick characters. So the rest of the Idaho Crew decided to pick characters for Tate at the end.
Maybe no one knows the rules to Tate. It seems like
no one knows.
Seems like there's a lot of freestyling.
Tate is sort of a free spirit. We don't know the rules to Tate. So there are 5 teams to compare, but Tate's team is sort of a meme team. But maybe it wins. We'll see. We'll look at the character list first. Character all-stars. Each of these little boys, beautiful creatures of Idaho, America, they all picked 5 characters from the DKU. I'll list off each team. We'll go one at a time. Quick reactions, quick gut reactions. Adam's team for characters had this. Adam had King K. Rool, Mumbo Jumbo, Cameo, Frankie the Pitchfork, and Professor Pester. Gut reactions.
Super strong.
I was going to say, it starts very, very strong. And I'm not one to disparage really many DKU characters, and I would never disparage the likes of Cameo or Professor Pester. I think Frankie the Pitchfork is where it falls apart for me a little bit, just because why?
I think I like Frankie more than Professor Pester. I've got nothing against the Viva Pinata universe, but I don't know if Pester is my favorite part of it, I might pick any pinata or any other person first.
Well, and it's interesting because it's like when you watch a show and there's a character that's annoying or a character that you hate. And oftentimes people will complain, but it ends up being the case that, like, well, that's what the show needed. You hate that character because they did a good job writing them to be annoying. They wanted that to exist. Professor Pester is an annoying character. We don't like him.
The most interesting character of World War II is definitely Hitler, but, like, you don't draft Hitler. You know what I'm saying?
You don't draft Hitler. No, you don't.
That's true.
I
think it's maybe a jump to compare Professor Pester from the Viva Pinata series to Adolf Hitler.
I don't see how.
He doesn't see how.
I can give you a few good reasons.
It's a clear comparison.
Both are bad.
Both are bad.
Both are bad.
Yeah.
So
you got me there.
There's that list. Andrew, his list had these characters: Banjo Bear, Greg the Grim Reaper, Cranky Kong, Funky Kong, and Ryan Stiles.
That's a good list.
Yeah, I was going to say that wins. I think that might be the winner. I don't even know the others.
Man.
Because here's why that's a good list. Just speaking as somebody who thinks about this shit every single day, because it's my job. There are so many heavy hitters and fan favorites on that list, and then you still have that little flourish, that little tweak at the end, that little reminder that this is absurd, and this is all utter nonsense in the best possible way. I really like that list.
Yeah, I think a thing that we maybe got into our own heads about was picking, like, too many of a certain category of thing, like too many heroes or no women. That was a thing in our episode that we talked about. And I look at Andrew and I can tell, like, this is a person completely unbothered by anything other than picking the characters he wanted to pick. So good on you. That's a good list.
It's a good list. Next up, Dustin. Dustin had Diddy Kong, Grunty the Witch, Gruntilda, Conquer the Squirrel, Fiddlesworth, and Shabunga.
Dang, that's a really good one too.
Dinosaur genie creature.
Yeah. I want to say that's a really good one. That's almost as good as the last one, but I think, and I speak as someone who has a little bit of crossover with Dustin's list. I feel like it almost plays it too safe. Now, Shabunga is not a safe choice, not by any means, but I don't know. I'm just impressed with Ryan Stiles. I think too much to really give any shrift to any other list here.
Yeah, Ryan Stiles did over 430 episodes of Whose Line Is It Anyway? And Shabunga's got like one store. So I would give it to Ryan Stiles.
Yeah. So next up there was Cameron. And sorry, I'm just copy pasting something into our chat. Cameron's her list included the characters Mr. Pants, Kazooie, Dixie Kong, Falco from Star Fox, and Rextro from Yooka-Laylee.
Yes, that's pretty good. I like that list. Mr. Pants was my, like, last pick, and this is her first pick.
Well,
so
keep in mind,
you can tell there's a difference of priorities, but I do like that a lot. This is Falco's cool. I don't think any of us would have picked Falco, but I'm looking at Falco on that list and thinking, like, yeah, Falco.
It's a very Cameron-oriented list because you've got the Star Fox representation, you've got the Rextro elevation, and yeah, like, I don't think anybody else would have voted for those two characters.
Yeah, they're definitely Cameron fan favorites, and I think Cameron also loves Kazooie. Like, this is sort of a heart list. picks from their favorites and their heart choices. And you got to respect that. Also, you do have to keep in mind that with all of the Idaho draft, because there's more than 3 people drafting, they do get a little bit more. Things get spread thinner. So you got that. Then there was Tate. So Tate's list of characters was picked by the other Idahoers Tate didn't pick any. The other people picked for him, and I'll list them off. Tate's list included Kartos, Vendi. No. Yeah, oh no is right. Kartos, Vendi, Saberman, the Fat Knight of Hamelot from the Knights of Hamelot. And I think that somebody looked up this name and found out the real name. Is it like Scarfsalot or something? I can't remember.
Sir Scoffsalot, yeah.
Well, in the notes that I was given, it's just listed as Fat Knight of Hamelot. And then the last pick is Squirt, the boss from Donkey Kong Country 3.
Now,
okay, I was going to ask which Squirt. That tracks.
Yeah, I would say Squirt is a solid pick. I mean, that's the dark horse pick
of this list. That's the one. That's the one that's solid.
I know. Squirt is kind of an acquired taste. You know, it's not for everybody, but once you develop an affinity for Squirt, you can never go back.
Yeah, especially if you've tried Ruby Red. Oh, don't even get me started.
Well, I look at this list of 5 and I look at Saberman and think, like, I just like Saberman. Should I feel bad about that?
No, you would. You would like Saberman.
Why?
I don't know.
Why for me? It doesn't seem like as memey of a pick as the other ones.
No. I think maybe they threw Saberman in there as a poison pill, kind of like, oh, he hunted endangered species at one point in his life. He shouts for the Empire. You know, they're trying to get Tate in trouble.
Well, Adam picked Mumbo Jumbo of his own accord. So if there's any kind of problematic thinking about some of these characters, I would wager they misjudged which one's which.
Dustin picked Shabunga, and Shabunga doesn't even have legs. It has like a worm tail.
I like Mumbo Jumbo. I hope that one day Mumbo Jumbo can formally apologize for the appropriation.
I mean, we don't even know what Mumbo Jumbo is.
Yeah.
Or if he is.
That's right.
He might not be.
We don't know the rules to Mumbo, just like Tate is an enigma.
Rules. Yeah.
So among these 5 characters lists, sounded like maybe our favorite was Andrew. Dustin was strong. Cameron was strong.
Mm-hmm.
Tate was the weak one on purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
Adam had such a good King K. Rool, Mumbo Jumbo, and even Cameo. Cameo's like a pick I don't think any of us would have ever thought of to pick, but it's... Well, I don't know. I like the game Cameo, Elements of Power, a lot. I don't know if the person Cameo is really what I like about it.
You certainly have to imagine that for the DK Vine audience, is the character Cameo remotely a fan favorite? If you're going to list off 25 characters from the DKU, does Cameo come up? Probably not. Is Cameo even the most popular character in the game Cameo? Probably not.
Yeah, I feel like the further afield you get from the Donkey Kong Banjo nucleus of it all, the weaker it's going to seem to our audience. And that's not to disparage Cameo, Elements of Power, or the characters therein, but it's just the basic way our fandom developed and evolved. It came out of Diddy Kong Racing, so as much as I love Grab by the Ghoulies, I don't really think I think Dustin voted for Fiddlesworth. I love Fiddlesworth, but I know better than to vote for a Grab by the Ghoulies character. Just because.
Yeah, I think you could actually... I've seen this coming up in some of the comments that were posted on Patreon last time about our games, and I think that of this demographic, it's the rare Donkey Kong, Banjo-Kazooie, and Conker, those 3 that are always going to be the highest priority for voters. and then it's the Nintendo DKU, like the Nintendo side of it, and then it's the rare stuff that is not in those core 3 series. And it seems like that's where the priority lies. It's maybe still too early to say where Platonic fits in among those, but I do think there's kind of a tier list in terms of what series have most endeared themselves to our listeners.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, the winner that got they did a different format on the vote on the Idaho stream. In the Idaho League of DKU Draft, which is a real sport. Idaho League is a different league. It's a sort of a minor league. Their format in that league is that each member of the Idaho Crew gets to vote for who they think is best, but they cannot vote for themselves. And then the stream audience also gets a vote with a poll that I think counted for 2 votes.
Okay.
So the audience counts as 2 members of the Idaho Crew, and then the rest of the Idaho Crew counts as 1 vote each, but can't vote for themselves. And the winner of characters, the best character list by winning way, is is Cameron. Cameron actually won that list. So Mr. Pants, Kazooie, Dixie Kong, Falco, and Rextro. That list of characters is what won for the Idaho League's character list.
You know, Kazooie just is extremely strong. Kazooie's might be the most valuable single character.
Well, and
Kazooie's
Dixie Kong.
very popular.
Both.
I think Kazooie, I don't give Kazooie, like, I obviously recognize how popular Kazooie is, but I don't think it really registers with me how popular Kazooie is and how fervent Kazooie fanatics are.
Well, I just say that
yeah.
anyone who puts Kazooie and Dixie Kong both on their list should win. Whoever does that probably should win. I don't know if anyone else has ever done that.
Yeah, I guess, but I look at Andrews and I see like Banjo and Funky, and I kind of would think inherently that's a similar value added together to Kazooie Dixie, but maybe it's not. Maybe I'm off base.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think the paradox of the Banjo-Kazooie series is so many people just call it the Banjo games, and yet they don't like the character of Banjo nearly as much as they like Kazooie.
I wouldn't sell Banjo's popularity short, though. I still think Banjo's a really strong pick. Kazooie just is maybe stronger.
Yeah, no, I agree. So there we go with that. Before we get into the rest of the other half of the Idaho draft, they did also do a draft of second banana DKU characters. DKU games. Second banana games, meaning they excluded all the games they picked last year, which was 25 games were picked last year.
Wow, yeah.
So
And
it was hard for
them,
us because we excluded 15, and we were like, oh, wow, we are getting, not necessarily into the dregs, because there were a lot of good games still left on the table, but when you then eliminate 25, for the record, 25 games, to put that into perspective, that is like Donkey Kong Country to Star Fox Adventures. If you're just counting like the rare tenure with Nintendo from 94 to 2002, plus all the cameo games that happened around that time, that's 25 games. So that's a huge chunk of the DKU taken off the table.
Yeah. And I implored them, I suggested to them that they don't do that and that they just do a redraft. You got 5 people. You're all going to make different choices. You're going to have a different draft order. It'll be interesting even if you keep everything on the board and do a draft over. And they were like, no, we want to do it this way. We're going to take those 25 off the board and see where we're going to get in the weeds. And they did that. It was very fascinating. But before we get into that, I have a secret surprise. Bwah, 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 bwah. Because we're about to do a little thing called the secret. I didn't come up with a name for it. It's a bonus.
It's the secret.
It's a bonus thing. All right. Whoa.
Call it the bonus area. Bonus round.
Jeff
DKC.
the Ref's bonus bonanza. It's happening. The Swanky's bonus game. It's happening. I thought I did not run this by Hyle. I didn't even run this by God. I didn't talk to anyone about it. This has all been only in my own head. So I thought it would be fun to do a bonus game on this episode, and then how does it factor into everything? Well, I thought, what if in real sports, the team that does the worst one year, the next year they get the best choices. They get basically preferential treatment. If you do bad this year, then next year you get the first best choices, and then the person who did the best, they get the worst thing, and it all evens out. It's a little bit like how if you're in a Mario Kart game, this is for you, Hyle. I'm going to take it away from sports.
Thank you.
Here's an analogy you can understand. If you're in Mario Kart and you're in last place, you might get the best items from the item boxes. Remember that?
I remember it. It's dumb because it should be like
All
Diddy
right.
Kong Racing, just drive better.
Okay, all right.
I agree with that.
I didn't think he'd take that stance, but you both lost, so you should be all about what I'm saying right now.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's
so-
good actually.
So what I've gone ahead and done, I looked at the fact that where we all landed in finishing position last year, and relative to each other, I calculated out a little handicap. A handicap that I'm going to give to each of you guys that is going to impact your final score in this year's DKU draft. Okay, you get a little,
okay.
all right, but it's
So much math.
You don't just get given it. You're gonna have to earn it in a trivia kind of way. All right,
Oh no.
Okay.
all right, but it's not not that kind of trivia. It's just wait and find out.
Jesus Christ! Just what is it?
All right.
Stop
So-
edging me, Jeff.
I have 8 questions that I'm ready to ask throughout the duration of this episode. And 5 of those are going to go to Mitchell, and 3 of those are going to go to Hyle. That is calculated based on their relative positions in the finishing of last year's DKU draft.
Jeff, is this your scary thing this episode? Because I am frightened right now.
You should be frightened. But no, that's not my scary thing. Thank you for reminding me. Should I do my scary thing now? I
Oh my
forgot to
God!
do it. All right, no, we'll skip it this episode. I'll bring it up next week.
It'll be even
I am
more scary,
scared.
though.
Just
Yeah,
for the
be
record.
scared. Be scared. Well, I happen to know that Hyle specifically doesn't like it when I come up with surprise stuff on his podcast. And so, unfortunately, I'm doing it anyway. All right. We're going to do one of these, and then we're going to move on, and we'll come back. We're going to space these out throughout the episode. But these are bonus questions where each of you guys can earn percentage points to add on to your final score at the end of the DKU Double Draft. Are we ready?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I
all
mean, I
right.
guess
Well-
as ready as I'll ever be. I mean, what the hell is happening?
Calm down. I'll walk you right through it. It's going to be fine. Mitchell, you're up. I'm going to ask
Okay.
you a question because you're going to get 5 of these throughout the episode. And Hyle's only going to get 3. That has to do with how you ended the last season. So, what I'm going to tell you, I have gone onto a website that is called backlogged.com.
Okay.
That is a website where people can record all the video games that they play and leave a score, give it a score out of 5 stars or 10 stars or whatever, and they can leave reviews, and they could just keep track of every game they play. People like to keep track. They want to have a little list. So backlog.com. I've gone on to backlog.com, fellas, and I have gone to certain DKU video games, and I've looked up reviews from people who left a 0.5 star rating on these DKU games.
This is fun. Okay.
0.5 stars, so 0.5, like a half a star.
Zero,
Like a 1 out of 10.
A half star out of 5 review on backlog.com. I have gone and found those reviews for various DKU games, and I've pulled out...
Is that as low as it goes?
That is the lowest. You cannot leave a 0. The lowest you
Okay.
can leave is a 1/2 of a star. And I found some reviews. I've pulled them out, written them down. And I'm going to ask you, Mitchell. I'm going to read you the review. And then I'm going to give you a multiple choice and ask you to guess which game that they were reviewing.
Okay.
All right. We're ready. So I'm going to do
ready.
it. Okay. First one for Mitchell. And I recorded all these questions, and then I've RNG'd them the order they're going to come up. So it's not that I'm picking and choosing who gets what. It's just randomized with a number generator. All right. So here's the review. Somebody left a 1/2-star review for a video game, and they said in their review, strong contender for most evil game ever made. Now,
okay, and these are all DKU games.
They're DKU games. I'm going to give you a multiple choice.
Okay.
Now, here's the twist.
God damn it. Okay, what?
If you get it right, you're going to get 2 percentage points added onto your final score for the DKU Double Draft, which is a score that you're going to get out of 200. That's going to come later. So 2 points out of 200, you just get bonus. If you get it right. If you get it wrong, Hyle has a chance to steal for 1 point.
Okay.
All right.
Now I know how like a jigsaw victim feels in the Saw movies. This is...
Hyle, stop trying to make it scary. It's not about being scared. It's about having fun times with your buddies.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Repeat the review. Strong contender for most evil game ever made, and your choices are Mario Party 8, Banjo-Tooie, or Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Ooh, okay. My initial guess before the multiple choice was actually Donkey Kong 64. Just because of collecting stuff. But I'm going to say A, Mario Party 8.
That is incorrect. So
Okay.
now,
you
Hyle,
can steal.
Hyle, you can steal. Which strong contender, most evil game ever made? Is it Banjo-Tooie or Donkey Kong Country Returns?
So I'm glad Mitchell was wrong because the one I guessed before Mitchell opened his mouth was Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Donkey Kong Country Returns is incorrect.
Oh, damn!
It's Banjo-Tooie is the most evil game ever made.
How
I
is
guess.
Banjo-Tooie the most evil game?
Yeah, this 1/2-star review out of 5 was given to Banjo-Tooie by a user on the website backlog.com. So nobody gets any bonus points out of that one.
I guess I should have used the style of picking the one that is mechanically closest to the one I thought it was. That would have done it. But yeah. Okay. Good game.
Good game. So
Good game.
back to the Idaho Crew. We're going to now talk about the Idaho Crew's other draft, which was DKU games minus the 25 that they picked last year. So if you're wondering why are all these games so weird and esoteric and stupid, it's because the 25 games they picked last year, they were off limits. Are we ready to get into that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Adam, and by the way, everyone also made team names, so I'll now read you the team names as I go. Adam's team, the Boston Belches, chose Donkey Kong Country 1, Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Is that the title of that?
Yeah.
I thought it was just Mario Party Jamboree. Okay.
No,
it just
because
looks
it's
weird
it's
with a
Super
colon
Mario
in it.
Party Jamboree is Super Mario Party 2.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so DKC 1, Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Cameo, and Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS.
Oh.
Thoughts?
Yeah, so Adam's really got a cameo thing I didn't know about. This is cool.
I've got a thing for cameos.
Yeah,
mom.
Adam's been
have
a
you seen
3DS
Cameo's
Smash.
And Cameo Games. A party, a
yeah.
Smash, and a cart all in there.
Party, Smash, and Kart, the trifecta. Yeah, Adam's been a defender of Smash 3DS in the past. I've talked to him about that. to me, I don't mind, or I don't really care that it's like the more feature complete version of 4 compared to the Wii U game. I'd still probably rather play the Wii U game just because if it's a fighting game like that, I want to play it on a big old screen with my friends and not. I just don't think it makes sense to do on the 3DS. But it is a good game. Mario Party Jamboree is certainly one of the better Mario Parties, one of the top ones. And Cameo, I like. I don't know if Double Dash is DK Vine's favorite Mario Kart, but maybe they went through all the other Mario Karts. I don't know what was off limits. Based on some of these picks, I think they did go through all the other Mario Karts. It has to be true.
Yeah, you have to assume that at least Mario Kart 8 and maybe a couple others were already off the board at this point. We're not going to get into all that detail, but yeah. This is an interesting list. I think that the downfall of this list is the over-emphasis on, like, getting away from that core of Donkey Kong and Banjo games and the main bread and butter of DK Vine. We all love Mario Kart. We all love Mario Party, a Super Smash Brothers. But for 4 out of your 5 to kind of be non-core things, like Cameo as well, is not really one of the beloved core ideas. I don't know. DKC1 is a strong pick. That's surprising that didn't make the first 25.
I was going to say that seems like a huge exclusion from the first time around.
For it was the first thing off the draft board this year, so it makes sense.
Was Cameron part of it last time? Was it 25 or just 20?
It was 25. Cameron was part of
it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. That's you should definitely, if you're doing a 5-person draft, you each get one Donkey Kong Country. That's just math.
Here's where I'm thinking they're approaching it from, though. There is a heavy reliance on Cameo games, which seems shocking to me. Like, I need my fainting couch just hearing that list. But when you live in a commune, a purported peaceful gathering, not a militia at all, in Idaho, the hinterlands of Idaho, you're going to gravitate towards couch co-op. You're going to gravitate towards the multiplayer brouhahas, and so that could be skewering their thinking. They have a greater affinity for the Mario parties, for the Smashes, for the Mario Karts, because they want that chaos in their lives, because they are so sheltered from the rest of civilization.
Yeah, like in college, I played so much Melee, and I played through Super Mario 3D World in co-op without even thinking about it. It was just like, yeah, Kyle's probably around, I'll do that. So to live like that continually I'm jealous of it a little bit, just to always have Mario Kart and Mario Party and Smash is just ready all the time. And then you watch Bambi. It's what a life.
They do it all. I recently have been playing a new Donkey Kong Universe video game called Dunk Dunk.
Dunk.
I keep thinking to myself, should I move to Idaho?
You gotta play more Dunk Dunk.
Playing Dunk Dunk by myself. It's just the saddest thing in the world.
Dunking yourself just in your bathroom.
Yeah. I would dunk my head into the oven like a Sylvia Plath type scenario because I can't have any friends.
Oh, jeez.
It's all right. All right. So the next team was Andrew. Andrew's team, Bachelor Bears Badass Bitches. I don't like the choice of words, but Andrew picked it.
You don't like Bachelor Bear.
I don't like the use of the word ass. That's naughty. Yeah. Andrew's 5 games were Donkey Kong Country Returns, Yoshi's Island DS.
Rough pick, but yeah, okay.
Minecraft.
I know from past experience that is apparently a rough pick.
Viva Pinata.
I thought it was all right.
And Mario Party 3. Those are the games.
Yeah, Viva Pinata is another one that I would think that if you've already done 25, you would just you would get there a little faster. For this to be the 4th one that Andrew got is a little surprising.
Yeah, so you're thinking that possibly 20 more-ish, 15 to 20 more are already off the board by this point. Yeah, and maybe in the first list, if somebody gets Trouble in Paradise, maybe everyone else is saying, like, well, I don't want to get Viva Pinata 1. It's the inferior version of the same thing he has. So maybe that's the logic in that. Mario Party 3 is always going to be one of the popular Mario Parties, although Andrew, in his first list, picked Mario Party 6. Both of which, I think, it kind of, whichever generation you played more Mario Party, those are the two good ones. Like, that's the N64 good one and the GameCube good one.
Well, I think nowadays the short list would be 2, 3, 6, and Jamboree would be like the ones you would choose to do. Maybe Superstars, the one right before Jamboree that was mostly like a remake of stuff from the original 3. But probably 2, 3, 6, and Jamboree. I personally banked on 3, and Andrew also banked on 3. So I gotta say it's correct. I have to say that he did it right.
I have to say that.
At a certain point, all the Mario Party games become white noise to me. Like, everybody, like, arguing passionately about the differences, and I'm just like...
I was gonna ask you, Hyle, what are the top 5 Mario Party games?
See, I like the first one, even though it like damaged my hands, because I like how weird it gets. And I feel like as the series goes on, it gets those rough edges smoothed out and it just becomes so homogenous. And I did like Jamboree well enough. Jamboree surprised me, but... Yeah,
I go through like rounds of thinking, especially if I'm just playing one of those like better ones the last time I played it. I go through rounds of thinking that about Mario Party, like, oh, wow, what a repetitive franchise. But then, like, try playing 10, and you'll be kind of blown away of, like, how much they can mess it up, how much the very simple, reliable formula is often upended in a way that doesn't make any sense.
That's interesting. You're like, you'll like Mario Party better if you really invest in the bad ones. Like,
I think, well, yeah, that's definitely true. It's true about most things. It's not worth doing, but it is true.
Yeah, it's true, though.
It's true, though, about it.
That's right. Now, before we move on to more of the list, we're going to have a bonus round. We have more questions to get through. We got to start squeezing these in here. I'm going to have another question that is also for Mitchell because he has the most that he has to get through, so Mitchell's going to go again. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So I'm going to read you a review from a half-star score on backlog.com. You tell me the game. I'll list you 3 choices. Here is the review. Fuck you, Xbox.
Okay. I think I know exactly what it is, but
all right.
I am willing to hear the multiple choices.
I bet it's going to be Mario Party 10.
Here are the multiple choices. Conquer Live and Reloaded, Sea of Thieves, and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
I'm going to go with Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
That's correct.
Yeah, I
bet. All right, well...
I think we all knew what that was going to be.
Yeah.
It could have gone any way.
I guess.
So, I'm giving Mitchell plus 2 points.
Plus 2.
So we're going to add that in at the very end. When we open up the envelope and see the winner, we're going to have to add in an extra 2 points. It's exciting. You know what? We're going to do another one. We have so many of these to get through. Before we move on, we're going to do another one because Hyle needs to get in on the action. Hyle, are you ready?
I love action.
All right. You're going to have one. An equal and opposite reaction, maybe. That's science. Here's the review. This is one of the worst first-party games ever made.
Oh.
Your choices are Viva Pinata Party Animals, Battletoads 2020 version, Project Spark, Conker's Big Reunion.
Oh, this is tricky. And I'm not talking about the dinosaur, because you didn't give me any of those options. I'm going to say Battletoads 2020.
Ding! That's correct.
Woo!
Really? Wow.
So the review for Battletoads 2020, this is one of the worst first-party games ever made. There you go.
Even if you don't like it, that can't be true.
That's
so many bad
definitely
ones.
not true.
Also, so if it's made by Delilah Studios, it's a first-party IP, but is it a first-party game? I don't know how you define that.
It's first party enough, I guess.
It's an IP.
Although I
don't know.
was thinking it was Party Animals because that was something that, unless I'm mistaken, did not launch on PC alongside Xbox at first, and just was Xbox, which would make it more likely to be defined that way. But I would have gotten it wrong, I guess.
It's still, to me, an odd way to label this game. Like, if I
'cause
think
I thought
about
people
hating
mostly
Battletoads...
I thought people mostly like the second parties, the third parties, the sixth parties, the Jamboree parties.
Yeah,
All
those
right.
are usually the best ones.
Those are pretty good. And moving on with the Idaho Crew's list, we'll come back to the bonus. They're coming. We have more of those to get through, but we're going to come back to them. So, Dustin, with his team, the Cincinnati Sassafrasses.
Good name. That's a good Dustin name.
Although
It's Dustin-y, ain't it?
They were all DKU characters up until Dustin. Dustin ruined the flow.
Dustin himself was worried about that until he learned what Cameron's name was, and then it was also non-DKU, so they each other felt fine not being DKU. Let him be. Let him be. All right. Here's Dustin's games. Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Saber Wolf for the Game Boy Advance. Viva Pinata Pocket Paradise.
Mm.
And Battletoads 2020.
I think this is pretty strong.
I would say this
strong.
is almost a me list. This is almost something like, if I had the options in front of me, this is what I would have picked. I think I would have known better than to pick Battletoads 2020, just because I liked it just fine, but I'm not a Battletoads kid. And I realize how much it missed with maybe its target audience.
Well, it was one of the worst first-party games ever made.
Yeah, we did learn that it is thought of that way. I think for a fifth pick among 5 people after 25 other games were already banned, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, and I really liked Pocket Paradise because that's... I feel like an overlooked, very important game in the history of the DKU, of Rare. It's the last game they developed for a Nintendo console or a Nintendo piece of hardware. And yeah, like Brawl, I'll defend that choice because I think Subspace Emissary is still beloved.
Anyone
especially
who
coming
chooses Brawl is a good picker.
Well, but especially coming from the DKU perspective and how well those characters were portrayed in the Subspace Emissary, I feel like Brawl doesn't get enough attention because of that, and it deserves it.
It's difficult because I really wasn't trying to hype up my disagreement last episode when I said my least favorite one to play is definitely Brawl, but also the single player thing in Brawl is so special and different that it's maybe a poison dart. Like it's very, very strong, very, very risky. I don't know. I think for this list, for how many games are off the table, it's a great pick. I also think that if you look at the thing you were saying before about Viva Pinata 1 versus Trouble in Paradise looks inherently weaker because Trouble in Paradise is just known to be better. Pocket Paradise, you might think has the same thing compared to Viva Pinata 1, but I actually don't think that it does because it is just such a different form factor that I think if you put them up against each other, Pocket Paradise might actually even be stronger of a pick than Viva Pinata 1 on its own.
It's interesting that you say that because in the sequence of their playing of this draft, Dustin picked before Andrew picked Viva Pinata. And Dustin had the choice between either Viva Pinata or Viva Pinata Pocket Paradise, and Dustin went out of his way to pick Pocket Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
I agree. Andrew then was like, wow, you're dumb. I'm going to pick Viva Pinata, the console version, because it's clearly the better one, and that's just the handheld thing. And Dustin defended himself, basically saying what you just said, Mitchell. Dustin's point of view was that Viva Pinata 1 is just clearly inferior to Viva Pinata 2, but Viva Pinata Pocket Paradise is, in its own ways, its own thing that has not been replaced or surpassed. It's its own flavor of Viva Pinata, and for that reason, it holds up strong, while Viva Pinata 1 is just sort of the thing that's been replaced.
And I'll say this, for all the talk we had about how, the only way some of these Game Boy Advance or handheld games would get included is excluding 15 to 25 games beforehand. There is an affinity for that era of Rare, for that team from Rare's handheld team, that they really were one of the shining lights of the DKU during a very fraught, argumentative time in our fandom. And I think those games, even if they don't have as widespread of recognition, they're still revered by the most diehard people in this nonsense. Like Freezer. Freezer, by the way, says, no name can compete with my forum draft team, Vendy's Buttfuckers. And then it says, Jeff the Brash added permitted term, Buttfuckers. So thank you, Jeff.
I got a pop up on twitchwebsite.com that said, somebody's trying to say some sexually explicit stuff. Is this okay? And then it showed me the message. Freezer saying, my team name is Vendy's Buttfuckers. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. Let's let that one through the filter. We're allowing it. Jeff the Ref strikes again.
Well, for all of the talk, as you were just saying, Hyle, about how the portable team is largely not going to win a fight against the home console team, I think the one game exception to that, and I wasn't going to say it during the draft because one of you guys got it and I didn't, was Saberwolf. I think that is inherently like a more premium feeling pick out of all of the Game Boy Advance games, out of all the Game Boy Color games or DS games.
Sure, but
I think that's the one. That's the one that kind of rises above its station.
You're going to have to be a sicko to pick that one. Like, I agree, and that's why I picked it. I love it, but it is a game that doesn't have that prestige because it doesn't have a Donkey Kong character. It doesn't have Banjo and Kazooie in it. It doesn't have Conker. I mean, I know Saberman re-debuted in Banjo-Tooie, but that's like me voting for Royston in the character poll. People don't really care about Royston. I care, but by and large, that's not what people are signing up for. Oh, that goldfish is in the background. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to play this game.
I had it on my short list and you beat me to it. So
yeah.
I was going to do it. It's a good game.
You're a proper gamesman, Mitchell. You come at this from a very intellectual angle and you respect Saberwolf GBA. Many people are just going to be voting with their emotions and their own personal lived experience, and most people have not played that game.
Is Saberwolf GBA the least or the most underrated DKU game?
No.
Let's get into that when we actually talk about our own. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but it is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. That's the most underrated DKU game.
People like that one though. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
We like it, but people don't know it exists.
That's true.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Anyway. The next one we're gonna look at Cameron's. Her team, is it Chattanooga or
Chattanooga?
Chattanooga.
All right. The Chattanooga. All right. Cameron's team, the Chattanooga Placeholders. And here are the 5 games. DK Jungle Climber.
Which we confirmed is just called DK Jungle Climber here in the States and not Donkey Kong Jungle Climber.
It's called both.
Same with King of Swing.
in this planet. It's called both. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing with Banjo-Kazooie.
Very Cameron pick. Yeah.
Cameron pick. It's Mr. Pants. And Star Fox Assault.
It's a very Cameron lit. Cameron stayed true all the way through.
Heart picks. We like that.
Yeah.
What I will say, my gut reaction off this list is how much each one of these, other than Mr. Pants, is going to draw comparisons to other games in its franchise. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is very good, and it got a much better sequel. I really like Sparks of Hope.
But the sequel is not DKU.
It's right. But I'm just saying. I'll just say.
Okay.
The same is true of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing with Banjo-Kazooie. The sequel is not DKU, but the sequel is way better. And so I'm just thinking that I'm not saying anything about you know, she couldn't pick the sequel. That was not DKU, is not an option. But I am saying that when a better sequel exists, does that leave a little sour residue on a game? When it's like every time I think of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, I think about how Transformed is better. The sequel is better. And I don't dislike either of these games. They're both very good, but they both have better sequels. Donkey Kong Jungle Climber has a predecessor that I prefer. Not a sequel, but a prequel. DK King of Swing I like better than Jungle Climber. Just it's the charming little cute one. And then Star Fox Assault is just it's good, but it's no Star Fox 64, right? So
I like it better than Star Fox 64, but I also realize I'm a moron.
No, you're okay, buddy.
You're all right.
I mean, look, okay. I go against the grain a lot.
You're just fine.
I'm like, I've got a little bit of a hipster in me when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I'm like, I prefer Star Fox Assault, actually. Like, who says that? Nobody in their right mind would say that in, acceptable company. It's I'm on the margins. I'm on the fringe.
It's all right.
I look at this list, and I think, Jungle Climber is a pretty solid enough DKC game. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is mostly there for its DLC campaign, even though the main game is pretty great. In fact, fantastic, I would say. You're there for the DLC in this particular draft. Sonic and Sega All-Stars, you're there for that DLC, or not DLC, but guest character. It's Mr. Pants is a very small game, and Star Fox Assault is already it's Mr. Pants?
Yeah.
It's a little tiny baby game.
Maybe the mobile edition, Mitchell, but the GBA game, it's a powerhouse.
It's a puzzle game on the Game Boy Advance. It's small. It's little.
I could eat it and then eat another game because I'd still be hungry. That's how small it is. And then Star Fox Assault is maybe the chonkiest entry here, but I think I still need a little meat on the bones in this list. I look at this list and I want where's that one? Everything so far has had Adam had DKC 1, Andrew had DKC R. Dustin had Nuts and Bolts and Subspace Emissary. I just want to I want to take a bite out of something and get a little more substance on this list, although I do like the games.
I respect this list. I respect Cameron being so individualistic and true to herself. Just I that's true for all of them. I haven't heard Tate's yet, but I think that I enjoy that kind of diversity of thought when it comes to this process. And that's what makes it so fascinating to me. We're not all going to be in agreement. And then you also have to factor in that 25 games were off the table. And yet Cameron stayed very, very true to what Cameron likes. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So the last list, again, the rules of Tate are ambiguous and fluid. And with Tate's list, Tate did not participate in the stream at all presently. But Tate provided
Is it in a bog somewhere.
Tate was bogged down in a swamp, and Tate provided a list of 5 games that they wanted to draft for their list, and 5 backup games if their games were taken. And I would have liked them to put Tate in the draft order and just like have Tate's picks come in order sequence, but they didn't do this. They waited until the very end after 20 games have been picked and then said how many of Tate's picks are left. Tate gets what's left over, and that's fine with me. If you're not present, you don't get picks. That's how it works. So sorry, Tate. I guess that's the rules of Tate. I don't know.
That's the rules of Tate.
That's the rules of Tate. That could be a sitcom. All right, Hyle, we're gonna write it. We'll get a pilot going.
Yeah, that's a new DK Vine Patreon tier. If I get $30,000 a month, we'll produce the sitcom The Rules of Tate.
Okay.
Yeah. Just let us know. So here are the 5 games that Tate ended up with after all of that. Also, by the way, they did point out that while Tate picked 5 games that they wanted, they also specifically tried to pick games that they thought would not get picked. So that's one of the rules of Tate. That's one of them. Here are the games: Super Mario Party, Banjo Pilot.
Oh God!
Donkey Kong Barrel Blast.
Yeah.
Donkey Konga 2.
Now that's interesting because I don't even think Donkey Konga 1 is anywhere on this list.
No,
I don't
but
think anyone picked 1.
Donkey Konga 1 was chosen by Tate on the first list.
This is so poison pilled. This is just like the most.
It's one of the rules of Tate. And then the last game was Mario Kart Super Circuit.
Yeah, only the second Mario Kart out of this whole list. And the first one was Double Dash.
Yeah, I have to imagine that their previous 25 had to have included Mario Kart 8, maybe Mario Kart Wii, maybe Mario Kart 64, or I don't know. It's hard to say which ones get picked.
The only game with any validity on that is probably Super Circuit. Like Barrel Blast / Jet Race, depending on your territory. I like so much about it except for actually playing it. And Donkey Konga 2, obviously everybody knows my relationship with that game. I consider it the worst Donkey Kong game ever made. So, and Super Mario Party is the bad one on the Switch. It's the one you don't want to play because it forces you into the motion controls. And it's just...
Super Mario Party is the worst of the 3 on the Switch.
Yes.
And somehow I would say it is still better than any on the Wii or Wii U. I don't mind Super Mario Party. It's not one of the best in that group that we listed out earlier, but I think it's, if you sat me down and you would pick like, hey Mitchell, you're going to pick one of these 5 games right now, I would definitely pick Super Mario Party.
And as far as Banjo Pilot goes,
you wouldn't pick it over Mario Party 1, Mario Party 2.
Right, no, over a better game I would not pick it.
No, true.
And Banjo Pilot is definitely the worst Banjo-Kazooie game. I know Nuts and Bolts is the sexy one to, really come at, but we all here in this intellectual circle, we all know that Nuts and Bolts is actually a very good, very innovative game. It was just rolled out terribly, and Banjo Pilot just really has no reason to exist, although it does have espresso in it, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Banjo Pilot is one of those games where, I don't think it's especially that great, but I have personally played and replayed it a lot of times to the point where, I can have some fun with it. I don't think that should count as whether or not it's good, but I wouldn't say Banjo Pilot I can rely on.
I wouldn't say Banjo Pilot is bad like Donkey Konga 2 is bad, or even like Barrel Blast is bad. Banjo Pilot is exceedingly mediocre, which is bad in the ranking of Banjo-Kazooie games, but it's not just the worst thing ever.
Yeah, of the 3 racing games on this list, Banjo Pilot, Barrel Blast, and Super Circuit, I might I might have the most fun with Banjo Pilot. I don't even know.
Yeah, that
but-
is true. Super Circuit doesn't really hold up in the modern lens. Like the play
Fellas,
control is so clunky.
We have to move on. This was a meme list. This was a meme list. This is not real. So, of the five lists, do you want to predict which one won? We just said a lot of things out loud to our audience, and they have not been keeping track. But you guys have it sitting in front of you, I think. So,
I'm going to go with the dark horse. I'm going to go with Tate.
you think Tate's got the best list of these five?
I think they're not going to be able
games.
to agree, and they're just going to vote for Tate out of like the meme choice. Yeah, like just they're doing it for the lulz, you know.
Okay, Dustin, Mitchell, what do you?
So we're just talking about the
games.
The games list. Yeah, I would personally vote for Dustin, and I think maybe Dustin got it.
Dustin did get it. That was what happened. And they didn't do any kind of combined scoring between the two lists. They just had two winners out of the five people. Dustin won for DKU Games. Cameron won for DKU Characters. In the Idaho League draft, that's how that all went down. Interesting stuff. There were a bunch of crazy characters, those fellas there in Idaho. They're not a militia, technically.
Yeah, it's an interesting example of having to know who's voting, because in that group they all know each other so well, and also they've got opinions that like might not be common at large, but are common amongst themselves. Like I know they all really don't fuck with Yooka-Laylee, but they all do like Double Dash more than the rest of the community, and that's just something you got to know. If you're playing that kind of game, you got to know who your voters are.
The Idaho Crew doesn't like really represent the official editorial voice of DK Vine in a lot of ways, so it's worth pointing that out.
Yeah, disclaimer. Well, real quick, we got to do a bonus round before we move on to the real stuff. I didn't realize it was going to take us 1 hour and 1/2 before we got to the real stuff. So let's do another couple of bonus questions, and then we'll get to the real stuff. And it's going to be fun. We're all having fun?
Yeah.
I expressly asked everyone to have fun. So
okay.
you better be doing it.
I'll try to do better.
All right.
We'll start tickling you, Mitchell. How about that?
Oh, give him a little tickle.
Okay, that'll be good.
His scruff of his chin. All right, Mitchell, here comes a question aimed at you. This was a 1/2 out of 5 star review for a DKU video game. The review goes as such. I am genuinely shocked that a game so deprived of fun or mental stimulation can exist. Man.
Okay.
Now here are your choices. Man.
Rough. Yeah.
Here are your choices. Donkey Konga 2, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, or Banjo Pilot.
If you say deprived of mental stimulation, unfortunately, I am going to guess Ghoulies.
Ding, that's correct. This is a half
man.
star. This is a 1/2 out of 5 star review for the game Grabbed by the Ghoulies. I am genuinely shocked that a game so deprived of fun or mental stimulation can exist.
Wow,
Man.
cool.
All right.
Can I just
Hyle.
point out that Grabbed by the Ghoulies is my 4th favorite game of all time? Can I just point that out right
because games don't have to stimulate your mentals. They don't have to. They can do a lot of different things. That's like people say,
You can
the
grab
point.
your Ghoulies.
Mitchell, you're a game designer and a theorist and everything, and you probably get irritated if someone says, the point of a game is to have fun, right?
Yeah.
'Cause the point of a game can be many things, and I think that the point of a game doesn't have to be to stimulate you mentally. It can be to just...
now. It can stimulate your prostate.
It could be
It is interesting, though,
haunted
because
house.
Grabbed by the Ghoulies, maybe even more than the typical video game, just is about fun in that way. Like, it's,
Yeah.
that's also okay. And
That's
it just
fine.
is that.
We love that. So Mitchell is currently earning 4 bonus points at the end of this whole... I might regret having done this, but Hyle, you get the next one.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and
All right,
the next
I'm
one
excited.
is this one.
Okay.
I was basically bullied by my family. That's the review.
That's the review?
I was basically bullied by my family. 1.5 out of 5 stars. All right.
All right.
Here are your choices. Mario Party 4, Mario Kart Wii, Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo Wii U.
Oh, so many applicable choices here. I'm going to get this wrong. But I've got to go with my gut. Bullying. I feel like Mario Party 4.
That is incorrect.
Oh,
Mitchell with the chance to steal between your choices of Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo Wii U. I was basically bullied by my family.
I'm going to go Smash Wii U.
It was Mario Kart Wii. Nobody gets it. All right.
Just
That's
Andre
just a
in a
fair
live
game,
stream.
man. You gotta stand up to your family.
Yeah. Has this guy ever played Double Dash? He thinks that the Wii game is more of a bully. It's not. It's not a bully game.
Just Andre did agree that it was Mario Party 4, so I wasn't the only one.
I was going to say Mario Party 4. Yeah.
If we go by the Just Andre vote, then you guys would have had it. But unfortunately, that's not the game. So we are now ready to move on to the topic of today's episode, which is our draft. We did have a draft. It was 2 weeks ago. Please go back and listen to that one before you listen to this one, if you haven't already, you dummies. We had 15 games that we couldn't pick from, and then we picked 15 more. On top of that, we picked 15 DKU characters. We did it all. We've got the results for you now. Our patrons on patreon.com did the voting. We've got results. We're going to go through them. At the end, when we reveal the winners, we're going to combine our scores. What percentage out of 100 did we get on each vote? We're going to add them together. We're going to add in bonus points from the bonus bonanza, and we're going to find out who won this thing. Are we ready to strap in? Are we ready to start this episode of the Kongversation podcast?
Yeah, I'm about to press record.
Hello!
All right.
And welcome.
Clap,
Now,
so we're all in sync.
yes. So, we
All
need
right.
to first, I think, explain what games were ineligible before we get into
Do
this.
I told him
Yeah,
to listen
yeah.
to the last one. I told him.
I
to
want
listen.
them
We
to
don't
listen
need
to
to
la-
do that. We
No,
even just
Kyle-
covered it in the Idaho part of how that works.
We did. They understand that some of the games are ineligible, and they also understand they need to listen to the last one. So go listen to the last one.
Go listen. Okay, fine. Go listen to the last one. You know what?
Episode
We're not going to do your
1308.
homework for you.
We can't. We just don't have the time. Let's just. I think that between the two, again, I want to start with characters. I think that we'll start with characters.
Okay.
We'll reveal the results of that because I think that is a little more, in my view. This is how I felt, by the way, as we were drafting. I felt that this was a little more nebulous, a little more up in the air. I didn't feel like I could compare this one to that one as readily as I could games. How did you guys feel about just the process of drafting between games and characters? How did you feel?
Yeah. It was really difficult to strategize for just because I knew what I wanted for both teams, and it was much more of a question about when I can get them.
Yeah.
I was given the opportunity to pick when I wanted to go, and I wanted to go third so I could be the first person to get back-to-back choices. Last year, that was really influential on Jeff doing well, I think. And I wanted I wanted a slice of that. So I did that. And I think in the two choices before I got to go, Kazooie was already taken. Like right away? I think that's how that went.
No. I believe that Hyle chose Diddy Kong and I chose Donkey Kong Country 3.
Okay.
and then you had a double pick, and you picked a character and a game.
Right. Okay. So never mind then. I was gonna blame that on me not getting Kazooie, but I don't have the excuse.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I did K. Rool. I thought in the moment K. Rool was a more valuable pick than
It might have been.
Kazooie. I think it's because I am a fan of Banjo-Kazooie, the series, maybe a little more than the Donkey Kong series, and I knew that you two are more fans of Donkey Kong, like maybe a little bit more than the Banjo part. So I think I was mentally overcompensating for like, well, don't just go to the Banjo stuff. Like, I think I kind of want to. But maybe I hurt myself a little bit in doing that. But I still think I'm really proud of my character list. I'm really proud of it. I feel good about it.
Yeah, Hyle, how did you feel just about the process of like trying to balance your games, your characters, the sequencing of the vote?
Honestly, I feel like I was overwhelmed with the sheer breadth of characters and how many we had to pull from. There's so many beloved characters across the DKU. And I mean, just Donkey Kong alone. Like, you could just have 5 Donkey Kong characters and you could have an all-star lineup. And then you factor in Banjo-Kazooie or some of the better-known Conker characters or you know, like, it honestly probably threw me off just how many we had to pick from. And then trying to respond to you as well, I probably made some picks that were less intellectual and more emotional. And I think that's where I got tripped up.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we also had the fact that while we were picking games, there were 15 majorly popular DKU games that we could not pick. So at least on my mind, and probably on everybody's mind, one of the first things I was thinking of was, well, which games are at the top of the heap that could have been picked last time and just barely missed out? Like, what are the best remaining heavy hitters outside of our original 15? What's left? And that is why my first pick on the draft was to go with Donkey Kong Country 3, which was the only well, it was the only original Donkey Kong Country game that wasn't picked. Also, Hyle ended up with Donkey Kong Country Returns, which also did not get picked in our original 15. But I thought having a Donkey Kong Country, there's only 2 left. This is a classic one. This is a game made by Rare in the 90s. It was left on the board. That was like a priority for me to get that. But there were a few games like that. There were probably 5 or so games that I felt like, okay, we've got the top 15 off the board. Here are the next 5 that are going to be fought after. And I got maybe a couple of them and not all of them. Or they're really, I think all of our first couple of games picks were all tightly competitive, popular picks.
Yeah. I was going into this with like, between all of the games and all the characters I could pick, there was one thing that I really, really wanted to just snap up and make sure that I had it. Just one. And that was Mario Kart 8. Because it was the most obvious exclusion from last year. And I am glad that I have it. I think it's strong. But I'm thinking now, like, over our lists, the reason it was the most notable exclusion last year is maybe just because of the shape of our lists last year. And I think the strongest individual game out of all 3 of our lists this year was probably DKC3. So after all of that, it did significantly impact the rankings with you picking that in the first 2 turns. I think that was a strong early pick.
Well, and it's fascinating because I kind of felt that because it was available, I had to take it. It was like one of those things that, like, intellectually, I felt it was too good to leave out there. It's not going to maybe come back to me. I don't know if it would have. Actually, you said on the episode you called me an idiot, I think, and you said it would not have been one of your picks.
I don't think I called you an idiot.
You might not have, but you did laugh.
I implied it with a lot of my tone.
You did imply it. It was implied. The implication of idiocy was there, but it wasn't necessarily like. It wasn't something I wanted to build my list around. It wasn't something that I wanted. Like I felt was this, but I felt like it was probably the best game available, and I had to just go for it.
Yeah, I think it was.
The game that I would have liked to have, Hyle, go ahead. Yeah. Well, I went into this knowing I had to draft either Donkey Kong Country 3 or Donkey Kong Country Returns. I think either one I would have been happy with. Because, yeah, I mean, they're Donkey Kong Country games, but also, I feel like Donkey Kong Country Returns did not get picked last year. It has far more relevance this year than it did last year with the re-release on the Switch and the tie-in with the theme park. And I felt like I was not entirely dissatisfied not getting DKC 3 if I could vote for Donkey Kong Country Returns, if I could draft that game. Just because I'm happy to represent that game. I feel like it's almost underrated at this point, especially in light of Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, I think you're right. In retrospect, it is clear how important and powerful 3 and Returns were in our lists. In the moment, I was thinking like, well, what I want is DKC 1, 2, or Tropical Freeze. And to have something besides those feels inherently weaker, but I shouldn't have been thinking that way because we weren't competing with those. They were off the table. So I think, yeah, 3 and Returns are very, very strong games. And you both picking 3 and Returns definitely made me pick Jungle Beat. Like that was 100% required of me now that you both did that. And I love Jungle Beat and I love standing up for Jungle Beat. I think that it's just good. It's just a good game. It just isn't the thing that a lot of people will go for instead. But there was a fear of poison with Jungle Beat that I don't know if it I haven't seen the results yet, so I guess we'll find out. But I don't know if it did poison me in that way. Giga Strike 2 in the chat says Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts being a game that I think we pretty notably all avoided. It's definitely like the last major mainline DKU, if there is a mainline DKU to pick from, like release. And I think it's just because like we recognize that it's strong at this level of the competition, but yeah, none of us are going to pick that because we just know, even if we had 4 other really strong choices, there's folks that hate that game so much that they will avoid the entire list on that principle.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if Jungle Beat would be that too. I'm hoping it wasn't, both because it shouldn't be, but also because I want points.
Yeah, you do want points. Well, speaking of points, bow, bow, we're going to have some bonus things.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, here we go. We're going to do 2 more. We've done how many? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got some more. Mitchell is up. How many have we? Because I got to make sure I give you the right amount. You're supposed to get 5 of these.
3 so far.
And Hyle's gotten 2.
I think so.
I've had the opportunity for 2, yes.
Yeah, well, you've been asked to.
Yeah, I've won 2 of them so far.
Yes. But you've been asked 3. Hyle's been asked 2. There's 3 remaining, and that means that 2 of those are Mitchell points, or 2 of those are Mitchell questions. 1 is a Hyle question. Okay. Mitchell, you're up.
Yeah.
Here's the review. This is a 5-star review out of 5 on backlog.com for a DKU video game. The review is: this game has been objectively obliterated by the passage of time.
Objectively obliterated.
We're just saying stuff on the internet.
The internet's free.
It's just free to say whatever you want. Okay.
Yep. All right. Here are your choices. The game is objectively obliterated by the passage of time. You can choose Donkey Kong Country, Mario Kart 64, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Well, I know what I would say. This would go to. In fact, yeah, I'll feel bad if I pick anything else just because this. Yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Bing, ding, ding, ring. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been objectively obliterated by the passage of time.
I feel like you've, with the luck of the draw, gotten a couple that maybe were easier than others, but that's just why the luck of the draw works. That's what is the definition of luck. So we can't be mad. But Hyle, you get the next one. Maybe it'll be just as easy. We'll find out.
Yeah, okay,
good.
Sure.
Okay. Here it is. Hyle, are you ready?
No, but let's do it anyway.
Fine. Don't be scared. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna
I'm
be all
so
right.
scared.
Don't be scared. Hold your hand. Oh, that's not your. Oh, why is your hand so wet? Here's a review. Yeah, you do. Fuck. All right. Here's a review. I got it for $3 and have. Okay. All right. Let me start over. It says there's more.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Here's the review. I got it for $3 and have felt generationally ripped off.
Generationally ripped off.
It may unconsciously be the reason I avoid Targets most of the time. They've capitalized Targets to imply that it's the Target store, the chain store. Okay, supermarket, superstore,
supermarket. Okay, yeah.
I got it for $3 and have felt generationally ripped off. All right, that's it. So, and they avoid Targets now. Okay, generational rip-offishness. Okay, now here are the choices. Hyle Russell, you can choose Cameo Elements of Power. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Or Star Fox Adventures.
How would they have bought any video game at Target for $3? I don't understand the math.
Well, they could be a liar.
They could be a liar, which makes this so... Because I'm trying to use logic. I'm trying to deduce... Well, Nintendo never discounts their games to $3, but for the record, I can't ever remember a time when you could stroll into a Target, do the waltz towards the electronics section, and see, like, games discounted for $3, be they Xbox or Nintendo. Jeez, Jeff, how am I getting the hard ones?
I know it has been random. It's just been random.
Okay.
And
you know
just
what?
so
I
don't want to add the pressure, but if you get it wrong, Mitchell has a chance to steal.
No, and Mitchell will steal it. Mitchell will get it right, being a gamesman.
He's a gamesman. You might get it right.
I hate games. That's the problem. That's the problem I'm running into.
13 seasons, and we're finally finding out.
I'm going to go against the grain of my own brain, just because it rhymes, and I'm going to say Star Fox Adventures. I don't know how.
Bling, 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 bling. That's it.
What the hell?
Wow.
Yes, Star Fox Adventures.
I think the dumbest choice.
That would have been my third choice.
Here, this is a 1/2 out of 5-star review for the video game Star Fox Adventures on Nintendo GameCube. I got it for $3 and have felt generationally ripped off. It may unconsciously be the reason I avoid Targets most of the time.
Here's what I'm thinking. $3 at a Target. They actually bought like Breath Saver mints or something, and they thought it was Star Fox Adventures. And
that could be.
They poured it into their GameCube, and it didn't work. And they were just like, wow, I feel generationally ripped off.
You will have that.
I like generationally ripped off, because, like, this person's kids are going to be poorer They're going to grow up in a less stable community because they bought something for $3 at Target.
These reviews are so good because we've got generationally ripped off, objectively obliterated by the passage of time, the most evil game ever made, one of the worst first-party games ever made, and I was basically bullied by my family. These people, I don't want to toot my horn and say that I've done a good job of finding these reviews.
You did a good job. These are good.
But what it turns out is that there's when you go through Backlogged and you sort by half-star reviews, very, very few of these video games actually have written reviews. People will just leave a half star and they will not type any words about it, like 90% of the time. And I will pick a game, and some of these games, there's 15 reviews that are a half star or 15 ratings that are a half star, and none of them have left a written review. And it was frustrating. It was time consuming. But the ones that did it, they have a little bit of a wordsmith in them. They've chosen some good choice of words, so we like that. And they said that Grabbed by the Ghoulies is deprived of fun and mental stimulation. That's rude.
Yeah.
I thought for sure the $3 one was Cameo, just because Xbox 360 games really got pretty grabbable at a certain point.
Well, I guess the only thing I contributed to this is that I thought up what are the fake answers for your multiple choice. So I did a good job.
Gigastrike says, since we're on the subject, I bought Rare Replay for $4.99 and the disc was sticky.
Well, buy a more expensive disc.
Yeah, dude. you can't complain. You know, the pitch line for that game is their whole pitch line was that it was 30 games for $30. So you are obligated to give Rare Ltd $30 US. That's the fucking deal. Like, you can't skirt that.
Yeah, I got one for a sixth of the price, and it was sticky. Like, yeah, man, you got it for 1/6 of the price.
Honestly, that's a bargain.
If you want the texture to be regular, pay more.
Honestly, like, I bought Rare Replay for full price. I didn't get any stickiness.
Maybe you should have got some.
You made it sticky.
Oh, maybe.
Because you were eating marmalade or something. I didn't want to make it sexual.
Paddington's far sweeter than
he's a bear.
He's a bear.
We like
just like
him.
in Donkey Kong Country 3.
Wow! All right.
So, do I get one more question, or was that it?
No, there will be one more question. Should we do it right now? Get it out of the way, and then we'll go into the results.
Let's get it out of the way so we can actually talk about the goddamn results.
Then we'll get into the results. All right. Hi, Mitchell. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. This is the longest review in total word count, but it's not. It's not too long. Although other ones have been short. This one's just a touch longer. Here you go, Mitchell. The review, a 0.5 star out of 5 review on backlog.com. It goes like this. I really dislike the Rare of this game, but I love the one of the first entry, and
okay,
and their idea of doing something cool. Hold on, I'm not done. Not sure if this the first oversaturated of content Rare game.
Fuck. Okay.
I'm gonna repeat all this. But that, by definition, feels limited and doesn't feel like a formula that could evolve. They just killed the atmosphere they created. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Let me go through that one more time.
Please do.
Okay, this is a 0.5 star review. All right. I really dislike the Rare of this game.
Okay.
But I love the one of the first entry and their idea of doing something cool. Not sure if this the first oversaturated of content Rare game, but that by definition feels limited and doesn't feel like a formula that could evolve. They just killed the atmosphere. They just killed the atmosphere they created. Are you good with that, or do you want me to go through it more? I could probably get through it.
I think I have a couple pet guesses for what this is. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the review. Here are your options. Your options are Donkey Kong Country 2, Banjo-Tooie, or Donkey Kong 64.
I think I gotta say DK64.
That is
Jesus
incorrect.
Christ.
All right. Sorry, that's how the sound goes. I don't know. Hyle gets a chance to steal. Look at
Okay.
him go. So your
it's
choices,
Okay, yeah.
it's Donkey Kong Country 2 or Banjo-Tooie. And just in case you forgot, here's the review. I really... All right, never mind. You got it.
Well, this is so dumb. This review was so dumb because Banjo-Tooie and Donkey Kong Country 2, great games.
Great games.
Both
And this person
That's why
gave
this
them
review is dumb.
yeah.
They gave this game a half star out of 5.
Yeah.
They really dislike the rare of it.
The
They
rare of it.
love the first entry and their idea of doing something cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if this is the first oversaturated of content rare game, but that by definition feels limited. Doesn't feel like a formula that could evolve. They just killed the atmosphere they created. So is it Donkey Kong Country 2 or is it Banjo-Tooie?
So between those two outrageous options, I'm gonna again go against the grain on my brain and pick the one that just seems completely wrong. Donkey Kong Country 2.
You got it!
What
All
the
right.
hell?
Yeah, I know how this game works
That's a
now.
review. That is a half-star review for the video game Donkey Kong Country 2.
I
And
can
now
kind of see what they're saying, weirdly enough.
I can't understand what they're saying with the oversaturation of content, because when they said that, my guess was
Right?
DKC3. And then Jeff did not supply that as an answer.
No.
Like, I barely understand it because, yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2 has a less kind of, like, environmental atmosphere than the first one. But I'm not sure exactly what they're even processing or what they're seeing or if they just have a gas leak in their house.
So, just to make sure I've got the scoring correct, bear with me here, fellas. Mitchell got 3 out of his 5 correct, and that's 6 points, right? Hyle got 2 out of his 3 correct, and Hyle stole 1 for a bonus 1 point. So Mitchell's going to get a 6 bonus point, and Hyle's going to get 5 bonus points.
Seems right.
Cool. Nobody
I don't think it's going to help
disagrees?
me. I don't think it's going to help me at all. But okay.
Well, we don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at it. We haven't opened the envelope. But speaking, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp onto my brand new microphone.
You ruined it.
Speaking
You
of,
ruined it.
fuck, I gotta buy
ruined
another
it,
one
man.
of these piece of shits. Ma'am. So speaking of that, all that stuff, we do have to get into it. All right, it's now 2 hours into the episode. We should start talking about.
Yeah, I'm
our
again
lists.
pressing record.
All right, clap.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation.
I'm Jeff. So we talked about a little bit. Do you guys have any, before we reveal the results, do you have any last thoughts, whether it's what you were thinking, what you thought about someone else, something you've thought since, should you have done it
Yeah.
different?
Yeah,
Hit
so
me
if
with
you
that,
remember,
Mitchell.
during the draft, I picked Mario Party 3 and then said, oh, oops, I really wish I could take that back because I didn't mean to do that in that way.
Yeah, you did.
I did do that.
We didn't even like go over what we actually drafted. We just said about Donkey Kong Country 3 and Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Well, let Mitchell finish his thought, and then maybe I'll list off the lists. But
Okay,
maybe
okay.
before we reveal the final thing, I'll list off the list and then reveal
Sure.
the thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, but let's get our thoughts out there.
So I had 2 more spaces, and I knew that Jungle Beat was going to be one of them. And I thought I was padding out for the other one, but it turns out that I had forgotten that I totally had 2 more games I wanted to draft. It was Jungle Beat and I was gonna put Smash 64 on there. I didn't have a Smash.
Oh, yeah.
In this list, and no one picked Smash 64. Smash 64 is definitely like it's very obviously like the least contentful Smash game. Just has the 12 characters, a few stages, and no like trophies or anything like that, right? But there's a niceness about the minimal stuff in that game that just makes it feel. I think still somehow Donkey Kong interacting with Pikachu feels the most striking in that first game. It's like it still kind of feels like, whoa, they put Pokemon in Donkey Kong Country? That's crazy. So that's what I wanted to do. Forgot I wanted to do it. Picked Mario Party 3. I regret it less now than I did in the moment because I actually think Mario Party 3 might be stronger than I was giving it credit for it in the time because I was just so stressed out about forgetting what I wanted to draft that I wasn't thinking about how I kind of liked what I drafted instead. But that was the thing. I can reveal now that was my thought in the moment.
Yeah, I think that in hindsight, just looking it over, I would say that Mario Party 3 is a stronger pick than Smash 64. If only because none of the other players, Hyle or I, none of us picked a Mario Party. Mario Party 3 is a contender for the best Mario Party. And since you're the only one that has one, anyone who comes in to vote, if they're a big fan of Mario Party, that might be something that moves the needle for them. Whereas if you pick Smash 64, you're going to be putting it right up against my pick of Brawl, which it maybe wins or maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure if there are people that are going to look at a list and say, I'm not going to vote for this because it has no Smash Brothers. I don't think people are going to come at it from that perspective, but there will be some people that say, oh, this is the only one that has a Mario Party, and I like that game. That might have been a stronger choice.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then let's shift gears and talk characters. I did want to do, this is our draft, and we got pretty intense. We got off the air and immediately all started apologizing to each other.
Yeah, we really did. We calmed down so fast.
We had tears in our eyes, and we started hugging each other and just reminding what we individually mean to one another.
Yeah, and it all happened off the air, so anyone listening to this podcast from one to the next might think that we're all mean people to each other. And we're not.
Misogynist? I don't know.
Or it's not that we're misogynist, it's just that we accuse each other of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had the same feeling when we got off that podcast of like being in middle school and doing something that gives you social anxiety amongst your peers. I thought like, oh man, do they probably hate me. They probably don't like me at all right now.
We all just kind of had the same sort of reaction of like, hey guys, was that episode bad?
Yeah, we did. I earnestly felt like maybe I ruined the whole podcast.
No, but I think that I've re-listened to it and I've looked at the comments, and I don't think it's true. I think it comes off great on the air. It was fun. We were cutthroat. We were intense, but it was, I think, all in good fun, and the audience, I think, felt that way. And sometimes you go. You get a little aggressive, and then you got to have a little aftercare, or in the DKU draft, we call that drafter care. So I just want to say on the air, I don't think any of you guys are dumb fuckers or sexist at all. I think you're basically fine.
Thanks.
So there you go.
No. I will say with my character selections, like I said, I was overwhelmed by what I picked. I also think I was kind of influenced by what I've really been working on behind the scenes at DK Vine for the past 4 months, which is this massive video explaining the concept of the DKU. And because of that, my perspective was a little skewed. My priorities were maybe misaligned, and that's why I voted for Royston the Goldfish when I don't know if I would have made that pick in any other circumstance.
Yeah, Royston. Well, okay. So I shat on Royston for jocular frivolity, but I like Royston. It did feel a little bit like we were getting into the... Well, Pipsy the Mouse, I think, was actually pretty questionable. if I can hold up a real opinion I had.
No, I would say Pipsy is actually okay. So the problem with Pipsy is she is a fan favorite for a lot of people who play Diddy Kong Racing, but that number is dwindling the more that people die on this planet.
I would assume that more people had a fan favorite in Bumper if we were going to go like a Diddy Kong Racing only character, or Tip Top is just where I was coming from it with that one.
Well, on the one hand, it feels dumb to say like we harped a little on the question of gender roles in our lists, but I will say that on the one hand, in Diddy Kong Racing, you have to say like, okay, this character is only significant because they're the only girl one. That's kind of dumb. But then on the complete opposite end, that is true. There are gonna be fans of Diddy Kong Racing that like that there is a girl to play as. And there's gonna be people that are gonna say, you know, Pipsy, obviously none of the characters in Diddy Kong Racing have any character. None of them have depth. None of them have...
Hold up.
Hold up, Jeff. Okay, hold on. I'm just saying,
no.
If you just play the game, you don't know the manual or whatever, you don't read the story, you just look at their animations. Basically, they're very surface level, I'll just say that. They're surface level. We have a cartoon. There's a cartoon mouse. There's a cartoon tiger. There's a cartoon crocodile. Which one do you want to be? They're all nonsense. They're all pretty empty. It's just a racing game. It's whatever. That being said, I assume there are probably some residual fans to this day that are like, I liked that one of them was a girl, and that was the one I liked to play as because I wanted to. I wanted to play as a girl. Whether I am a girl or a boy or any gender that you were or are, there is a niche in that, even though that seems really surface level and stupid to be like a token character. It's bad to be a token character, but it's also good. because
everybody wins.
Because there, even though it's dumb that is the token female character, I'm just saying that there probably is some genuine enthusiasm for that people wanted there to be. I don't know. Yeah. I'm talking in circles. This movie, whatever. Whatever. I had all the girls on my team. I had a lot of them.
It did. I guess the overarching thought on that is that I think maybe we all went to like our weird ones a little bit faster than we had to. Because we left Conker out.
Yeah.
No one picked Conker.
Yeah.
Conker's a great character.
You're right.
He's kind of
we kind of got our 2 or 3 heavy hitters, and then we're like, well, and it's interesting. I'm still not sure what is the winning strategy, but there's a part of me that goes into this list and thinks, well, you cannot have 5 heavy hitters. You need to have a weirdo. You need to have variety. And then I'm like, well, that makes sense if we were to pick like our top like 15 friends in the DK Vine staff and community. But if you were to take like the next 50 followers of DK Vine, do they feel the same way? Does anyone off of the DK Vine staff hold any enthusiasm for Ted the Boat Builder? Right? Like, is that just a meme for the staff who are really knee deep in it, or is it like, or does the audience come along with us on that ride? And so then it's like, well, maybe instead of a Mr. Pants or a Pipsy the Mouse, maybe just Conker, because people like the main characters. Like maybe Conker should have been in there.
I feel like there's 2 different genres of the what the fuck character for this kind of draft, because we have, I think Royston was good, and I think I still like believe in my pick of Mr. Pants, but I think your example of Ted the Boat Builder or like Belcha might be too insular, or Squirt might be a little too insular for this. Even though Royston and Mr. Pants are also insular, I feel like there's more of an argument with them of like, well, you got to understand about Mr. Pants. He was a website, and like, oh, well, if he was a website, that's, I don't know. Maybe
Like Jeeves,
I
the
feel like
butler.
there's something objective in there about Mr. Pants, but maybe that's just us having breathed in the fumes for so many years.
Maybe. Well, fellas, are we ready? We're going to do them one at a time.
Okay.
I think we'll do character all-stars first.
Are we going to list off, though?
I'm gonna list them
once
off.
Again? Okay.
We're gonna do a DKU list up real quick of the characters that were chosen by our teams. And by the way, our teams have names.
That's right.
They had names this year, and Hyle's team was called the Sloppy Second. So the Sloppy Second, here is the characters that Hyle chose. Diddy Kong, Banjo Bear, Cranky Kong, Royston the Goldfish, and Pipsy the Mouse.
Good.
Should we comment? Should we just move
Like,
along? I mean, we got to split it up a little. Maybe just quick comment.
I will admit the list kind of falls off after Cranky. I could have picked Funky. I should have picked. I was self-conscious about having too many Kongs. I was self-conscious about having no ladies.
Yeah, we know.
And having no fish.
No fish. And I wanted to get weird with it because I'm a freak.
I looked at the Patreon votes last year, and the comments, I touched on it last episode, right? Of like, you say you'd just get all the Nintendo 64 3D platformers and Yooka-Laylee, but one, you probably wouldn't get them, and two, do you really think that limited degree of variety would help you in a vote? And now I'm kind of thinking maybe that second point isn't as strong. Like, if you did just pick 5 Kongs, and they were the 5 most important Kongs you could get, I wonder if that really wouldn't be a bad list for this vote.
Then the other topic, it did come down to Hyle having that last pick of thinking maybe he wanted a female DKU character, and choosing Pipsy when the streaming audience was expecting Laylee. Mm-hmm. Hyle, you did defend yourself on the episode saying maybe that Laylee would draw a direct negative comparison to Kazooie. I kind of question that because I think that Laylee has her own fans and it would add variety to your list, but I also acknowledge your point of view that thinking that the game Diddy Kong Racing itself has fans, and Pipsy the Mouse is its own character within that game. And I honestly, Mitchell, you made a brief mention earlier is that we don't yet know where Yooka-Laylee lands in the fandom's fandoming of it, and I don't know. Is a Diddy Kong Racer more popular than Laylee?
Honestly,
Maybe,
we might not know
probably.
until Yooka-Replaylee comes out. I feel like so much of Yooka-Laylee is just up in the air unless you played Impossible Lair, and so few people did. I don't know if it's really got as it's definitely got a fan base, but is it really enough to compete with a game like Diddy Kong Racing even now?
Yeah, I think we were really talking ourselves out of it with that comparison thing.
Yeah.
With both Laylee to Kazooie and Tiny to Dixie, if you wanted to get a female DKU character on the list, in retrospect, I understand why you did it, Hyle, but I do think maybe a direct comparison would not have hurt as much as we were thinking.
The other thing is that there's a nostalgia element. I think that if you, and we'll get into this when we talk about our games in just a moment, but I think that if you can get a 1990s game developed by Rare in the DKU, that is just going to hold more weight in general sometimes than a game that came out in the 2010s for our audience. Like, we are a nostalgic website. So, anyways, that was Hyle's list. My list, the Atlanta Rhythm section. Here are my characters. I picked Kazooie, Dixie Kong, Trouser the Snake from Yooka-Laylee, the game, Crystal, and Lanky Kong. Those are mine.
It's a good list, Jeff.
I think that the only misstep might have been Crystal, because in that moment, I did let myself think, wow, I have a female-heavy list. If I pick another one, am I sort of stonewalling everybody? Am I taking all the good ones? That wasn't the only motivation for picking Crystal. I thought that she added variety in her own sake. She's an interesting character that people like, and I like the character Crystal, but I did... It was kind of motivated by... And when I chose Kazooie or Dixie Kong, I wasn't thinking I'm picking a female character. I just was thinking I'm picking a popular, good character.
Oh, sure.
But by the time I got to Crystal, then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I have I thought in my head, I have the two coolest girls in the whole DKU. So should I triple down on that? And would that hurt the other lists? And maybe that was just like a dumb point of view. Well, there's probably another character I could have gone with there.
I think Crystal would have been a very, very strong choice if this was maybe 20 years ago. I feel like sort of...
Or even 10. Yeah, even 10.
Even 10. I feel like Crystal's stature, along with the rest of the Dinosaur Planet extended cast, in the Star Fox mythos, like ever since Star Fox Zero, it's really just kind of been this ancillary relic, this vestigial appendage of the DKU.
That's fair.
And
yeah.
But again, I will say also is that the way I approached the character list the whole time is that I did feel like I don't have a strong grasp of how to approach this. I don't feel that there's an obvious number 1, number 2, or even number 3 or 4 or 5 that like I have to grab them now. So I did kind of put a little of my focus on the games list to start with, because Hyle took Diddy Kong. I'm like, well, okay, Diddy Kong is a great choice objectively, but if I can't get Diddy Kong, there's like 4 more Donkey Kong characters I could pick that are all really good. Versus when I was comparing games to me felt like really more straightforward about how I can compare what's the better pick. It made more sense to my brain when I was looking at the games. And so I kind of let the characters go a little by the side. But I jumped in there when I needed to say like, okay, well, you guys got some big ones, so let me grab a big one. I think the top half of my list is good. The rest, we'll see. How'd you feel about yours, Mitchell?
Yeah, well, I just want to touch on Crystal again, because like I really liked the pick of Crystal, but it's also interesting because like the reason the DK Vine audience, other than the other reason, likes Crystal is other than the other one, is that like she is a relic from when it was still Dinosaur Planet. And there's something like very exclusively rare about her. And unlike a lot of the rest of Star Fox Adventures, she continued to persist really until Star Fox Zero is like a core part of that franchise. And I think we, as a community, have a certain kind of pride about it. But when I think of Star Fox Adventures and I think of like, which characters do I really like in that game? I think the one to highlight is Fox McCloud as like a protagonist that goes under a like hero's journey and is changed at the end in an interesting kind of way. Like you picked Crystal, and Cameron, she picked in the Idaho draft, she picked Falco. Fox McCloud and Conker were my 2 next ones on my list. if I were to get 7. Like they were on their way. How did I feel about my list? I feel really strong about my character list. My games list, not much at all. But my character list, I feel like I really like it.
Well,
Yeah. You had a good one, Mitchell.
Thank you.
I think that we all have a strong mix. So it's again, when I left the episode, I
But did
really
we say
didn't know
what
how to
Mitchell's
feel.
was?
No.
Did we? Let's do it right now.
Yeah, all right.
Mitchell with the San Diego pod race. Yippee! That's a Star Wars. That's a Star Wars. So Mitchell's team of characters was King K. Rool, Donkey Kong. The Donkey Kong. That's just the star of the Donkey Kong video games. He's on there. We sometimes forget that he's the main guy of our.
We do.
The next one was Gruntilda, Winky Bunyan, then Klungo, and Mr. Pants.
Yeah.
I feel like really all of us have. Maybe this goes to Hyle's point about it just being an overwhelming choice of how many characters there are to choose from, but I think all of our lists are strong and full of heavy hitters. Mitchell brought up the good point of like there are some heavy hitters that were left off, like Conker or even Fox McCloud. I wouldn't think personally of choosing Fox McCloud because I think that the Star Fox element of the DKU is so small, and I don't know, but yeah. Any final thoughts, Hyle?
No, I liked Mitchell's list. I would say that, Donkey Kong, we kind of poked fun at, or I poked fun at Donkey Kong just because it's seen as a very vanilla choice, even though I would say Donkey Kong as a protagonist is one of the least vanilla leads of a mascot franchise.
Yeah.
He's interesting, and I think Donkey Kong Bonanza will certainly elevate Donkey Kong a lot more in the eyes of the fandom. And I liked that Mitchell got weird with it still. Mr. Pants, in our world, Mr. Pants is not a weird choice, but Mr. Pants, that would be weird to anyone looking in from the outside, just as much as Royston the goldfish or Trouser the snake. Like that is the dark horse choice. But Mr. Pants, I would say Mr. Pants is probably a better choice than Royston because Mr. Pants is brimming with character while Royston is a fish that gets eaten.
Can I?
Yeah, I don't know. I like them both.
Well, can I also say I actually had written down in my draft notes before we started going that I had, the first draft I felt last year was very straightforward. It felt more straightforward to me. I knew I needed to hit on certain types of games in certain categories. And if I had hit a good game in each category, I would have a very good overall list. And when you look at characters, that is harder to think about and maybe less relevant. It might not be the way. But I had written down that I wanted a villain. And just through the course of how it worked out, Mitchell took King K. Rool, which I think is probably the best villain you could pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then things went around, and then I had chosen Trouser the snake. Then it came back, and Mitchell chose Gruntilda from Banjo. And now I'm looking at the options for villains, and okay, Gruntilda and King K. Rool are definitely the number 1 and number 2 on that category, but the number 3 might be Capital B from Yooka-Laylee. If you want to have a villain on your list,
I agree.
But the problem that I ran into is that I had already chosen Trouser, and I don't think it would have been prudent to have 2 Yooka-Laylee characters, so I just gave up on having a villain. I don't know if that matters. I don't know if it's going to factor into anyone's vote, but I think that, a lot of people do like the villains. Villains can be some of the most popular characters in a game, and Capital B is a popular one, but it would have been, I think, odd for my list to have Trouser and Capital B, two Yooka-Laylee characters, so I didn't go with that route.
I didn't even
Yeah.
try to get a villain. I pretty much forfeited K. Rool, and after that, I wasn't even thinking, "Ooh, I need to get some baddies in here," because maybe I'm just tired of evil people, and I was just like, you know what? I want to keep my list pure and good.
I know that the fans love the villains. There's, and that's probably one of the strengths of the game Yooka-Laylee. That's a game that is divisive and a game that has a lot of flaws, Yooka-Laylee. But one of the things that it does, I think, nail is that it has a good villain that feels in that vein of Rare villains. Rare was always good at making villains, I felt like.
Yeah.
That were iconic and memorable, and you want to see more of them. And then in the sequel, Impossible Lair, Capital B changes his outfit. That is that's a very rare trope. A rare trope is that from one game to the next, you have a different outfit.
I like
style.
when people change their clothes because, it gets smelly, it gets crunchy.
Of the stuff in Yooka-Laylee, I think it's safe to say now that it's been, 8 years, right? Since Yooka-Laylee originally came out, it's safe to say that not a lot of it really became too iconic, even among our very niche fandom. As unique as they sometimes can be, I don't think Yuka stood up to Banjo, and I don't really think Laylee stood up to Kazooie. But the number one thing that did stay around in the minds of people, and I see referenced from time to time, is Trouser's number one, best survivor from Yooka-Laylee 1. And then number 2 probably is Capital B. And I'm not sure if Capital B is... You're right, it's an interesting thing to think about. I'm not sure if it's quite at the level where it could survive the rest of Yooka-Laylee 1 being pretty divisive. But it maybe has the best choice, or best chance to, out of anything other than Trouser, which just is... Trouser did work. Trouser really got to people.
Yeah, Vendy is also up there, but maybe not for the reasons that the others are.
I fucking hate Vendy. I think
Vendy's a fun joke to have fun with if and only if you already like Yooka-Laylee a lot. Mm-hmm. You gotta be in there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That doesn't work for me. But I wasn't going to choose 2 Yooka-Laylee characters for my list, so Capital B was out. I didn't end up with a villain. That's fine. I don't think that people are going in and voting and thinking to themselves, well, this list doesn't have any villains. They're not thinking in those lines. But
I did think about Baron von Ghoul for a minute, though.
Yeah.
See,
he would not have been it would have been a bad pick for your list, Mitchell.
Yeah.
But it would have not been a bad pick overall.
No,
only bad for your list because you don't need 3 villains. That's crazy.
I would say the only Ghoulies character I did feel comfortable voting for was Royston, just because Royston's also a Banjo character. I was like, I understand that most of the fandom does not give 2 shits about Grab by the Ghoulies.
Well, who I really don't give a shit about, because I thought at first maybe it'd be fun because Donkey Kong has been a villain in older Nintendo games. What if I make an all-villain list? And I kind of almost do it, except for Mr. Pants at the end, because even Klungo has been a villain, right?
Yeah.
But then I just realized, the Conquer villains are so nothing. And... Capital B and Baron von Ghoul are just weaker picks than I could have picked otherwise. So yeah.
Let's do this. Let me ask you this: before we reveal the results on our character all stars, what is the one character? Let's each name one character that did not get picked that could have been or ought to have been picked. Hyle. Pick a character. What character do you... maybe let me phrase it as, what's one character you're surprised did not get picked?
Funky Kong.
Good answer. Mitchell?
Conquer.
Good answer. And then I was going to say I guess capital B is a good answer. But yeah, Greg the Grim Reaper, another one. We'll go with that. All right. So there you go. Let's get the results. I'm gonna switch tabs. I'm gonna pull up.
Did we talk about
envelope.
the games?
No, we're doing just the character results.
Okay.
We're gonna look at the results of the character poll specifically.
All right.
And
this is gonna suck.
Oh, is it? You don't know? I mean, I don't know. Okay, now. And again, it doesn't just matter that you win or lose. It actually matters specifically what percentage you get. Because if you win close, that matters. Because we're gonna add this result into the other draft. We're gonna add it into the games draft.
This is sounding like the electoral college.
Average them. It's yeah, all right. I feel like that dweeb on the thing with the map on CNN.
Steve Kornacki.
Steve Kornacki is his name.
The math geek, we call him. The television's math geek.
Steve Kornacki. All right, here we go. For the DKU Draft 2025, the Double Draft, we're looking at Character All-Stars, and here is the vote breakdown. With 26% of the vote coming in third place is Jeff's Atlanta Rhythm section.
What?
Wow.
26% of the vote. That's my character list. The list of characters, which included Kazooie, Dixie Kong, Trouser, Crystal, and Lanky Kong. I need to write this down because there's a lot going on. Okay, 26. Now,
Okay.
All right. Okay, now coming in second place on characters only, Character All-Stars, is Hyle, the sloppy second.
Still sloppy.
36% of the vote. Ooh, wow. This is extraordinarily close because coming in first place, obviously, is Mitchell's San Diego Pod Race, but with a very close 38% of the vote.
Ooh. Okay.
So we got 26 to 36 to 38. Wow, that hurts me.
Jeff, I'm honestly
difficult.
shocked. I thought I was going to be in third place, and the only thing I can guess is that the weird insular, because remember, these are DK Vine patrons. It's not just our entire audience. These are the people who pay for this content.
Yeah.
So it might have been that Royston and Pipsy pulled more heartstrings than Trouser and Crystal. That's the only thing I can think of. I think Mitchell outplayed us both, but
Mitchell's list, I think, might be more well-rounded, but then, Hyle and Mitchell almost tied. Hyle and Mitchell were 36 to 38 versus I was all the way back at 26, and I find that surprising only because I would have, if you asked me before all this, I would have said the number 1 and number 2 popular characters. Maybe not number 1 and number 2, but very close to it. I would have said Kazooie and Dixie Kong are very popular.
Oh, well, okay.
And I got them both.
Thought for sure the number 1 and number 2, although I didn't know which order, were Kazooie and K. Rool.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And maybe I'm a little warped right now just by the thought that just because we're living in this time where we've got this major video game coming up where all eyes are just focused on is K. Rool in this video game. I'm in a weird headspace to think about it, but it feels like K. Rool is up there. But I know Diddy is also up there and also a focus of hoping and trying to look for him in Bonanza. So I don't know.
I think the cult of K. Rool is just, I think Smash Ultimate and the ultimate victory of getting K. Rool in Smash has really solidified K. Rool fandom as a force to be reckoned with.
And I personally fed into that because in the height of, from Super Smash Bros. Brawl onward, I was involved in online community conversations about should King K. Rool get into Super Smash Brothers, and when they started the ballot for Smash, I started the hashtag Croc the Vote,
Right.
which did kind of take off a little bit. And there were other people, Kremlin campaigner and people that pushed the memality of King K. Rool for Smash. But I'd been right there in the trenches, and so maybe pushing King K. Rool for Smash for one full decade of my life actually buried me on this on this podcast about
Maybe
our
you
draft
shouldn't have
of
done that.
characters. I shouldn't have done all that because
Think about your
now,
choices next time. Play the long game, Jeff.
Uh,
Because if K. Rool had not gotten into Smash, I guarantee he would be as popular as Crystal is right now.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
gonna
and
looking
I guess
at my list.
The point for Kazooie's favor, though, is because, like, we didn't need a Jeff campaigning for Banjo and Kazooie to be in Smash Brothers. That just happened.
They're just that
and
popular. They're that popular. That
They
don't-
just are that popular.
Mm.
So I thought the list with it, even just Kazooie, would have maybe done.
I
better,
thought. I mean,
but, I don't know.
to get 26% versus 36 and 38, that's a bad score. I have to now look at it and say, just hypothetically, maybe Trouser and Crystal do not move the needle. Maybe that people don't, in the voter section of it,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe Yooka-Laylee and Star Fox characters are not actually important.
Because I can't imagine that Lanky hurt. I thought that
Yeah.
was a good
No,
pick.
Lanky wouldn't hurt. I thought that he's like that kind of meme pick, but is also still like widely popular. Not so niche. He's meme popular in the way that he's funny, but he's still known by everybody.
Mhm.
Whereas not everybody knows who Royston the Goldfish is. I don't know. It didn't work out for me. Apparently, I didn't have my finger on the pulse on the characters.
The irony, Jeff, is that I feel like both the characters of Trouser and Crystal have moved plenty of people's needles over the years. But in this
All right.
case, it didn't move yours.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope.
All right, fine. So, by the way, I'm going to remind people. So, we've just come out with our first score out of 2. We're going to have 2 drafts. The
This
first
is so
score,
complicated.
it's not that complicated. I'm telling you it right now. On the first draft, I got 26, Hyle got 36, Mitchell got 38. We're going to have the other draft where we have the games. We're going to have scores on that one. We're going to add the 2 together. And your total score will be your final score. You determine who is the winner. But the only other thing is that we had those bonus questions, and
Right.
that Mitchell is going to get 6 bonus points added on, and Hyle is going to get 5 bonus points added on. So keep that in mind as we now discuss our games list. Back up to the games. Is there any more we had to say? There might be. We're looking at these games. What did I don't think I've ever listed them off yet, have
We
I?
haven't listed them. No, that's what we have to say, honestly.
Let's list them, then maybe say, and then maybe say the final.
Maybe.
All right.
All right.
Maybe. Hyle with the second bananas. No, sorry. Hyle with the sloppy second. I made that mistake on the last episode a bunch
You
of
did.
times. Hyle's team, the sloppy second. Here are his games. Donkey Kong Country Returns, Donkey Kong 64, Saber Wolf for the Game Boy Advance, Mario Super Sluggers, and Donkey Kong Jungle Climber.
Or DK Jungle Climber, as it's known in our territory, Jeff. But yes.
Oh, yeah, all
Yes.
right. Don't assume where I live, but
Yeah.
that's your list.
So I antagonistically asked you, Hyle, mostly in just a competitive sort of way.
Yeah.
Do you really think Jungle Climber is better than King of Swing? And then we got some feedback that maybe a lot of people do, actually, and I was off base. Because I kind of definitely thought that King of Swing was the liked one, and then Jungle Climber was like a weird second one.
See, I always thought that people might like the art style of King of Swing more, but I feel like
that's
people
where
like
I'm at.
the gameplay of Jungle Climber a bit more, because I always thought Jungle Climber was a bit more refined than King of Swing. I like both. I like both a lot.
It's certainly more robust in content, and there's elements that I think that Jungle Climber takes a direction of trying to, even though it is 3D models that have been turned into whatever sprites, it does feel like, okay, King of Swing was this odd cutesy sprite game, but what if we took that and tried to replicate Donkey Kong Country graphics a little more? In fact, I've said for a long time that I wouldn't have been surprised if they called this game Donkey Kong Country Climber instead of Donkey Kong Jungle Climber. Like, there's a lot of elements of what they choose for the collectibles and the structure of extra lives and things and Diddy Kong and how everything works feels that they've taken DK King of Swing and said, well, let's make it operate more like Donkey Kong Country and make it look like a 3D thing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But
yeah,
I have always come away with the thought of Jungle Climber is the more advanced, more content-rich thing, but King of Swing is the charming one. It's the one that people love to love because it's got the art style and it's a thing. And then maybe you like Jungle Climber and maybe you don't, but nobody hates King of Swing. That's a cutie batootie.
Yeah, I don't know. I had very little experience with either of these games. I've since the last time we recorded, I beat King of Swing for the first time, and I still have never touched Jungle Climber, to be honest. So I don't know. I was just going off of what I thought the community thought, and maybe I made the wrong call early with King of Swing. Maybe it's a good Hyle pick in retrospect with Jungle Climber that I didn't even understand at the time.
Yeah, I was surprised this was as controversial as it was. Really, the one I whiffed was Super Sluggers. And I'll say...
That's what I think, too.
Well, yeah, okay.
I'll say about Super Sluggers really quick, and then I'll let you all have your says. But Super Sluggers, I picked it because I'm a very poor critical mind when it comes to a lot of the cameo games and what people like. Because other than the Donkey Kong content in the cameo games... when I say cameo games, I'm mostly speaking of like Mario, the multiplayer sports or party games. I'm a very poor judge of character because I feel like it is generational. It is like what you grew up with. But for me, I'm going into it. How's the Donkey Kong content? What Donkey Kong things are in there? How well is Donkey Kong and friends represented? And, so, like, when you say Mario Party 3, I'm like, well, yeah, Donkey Kong was in it, but there were no Donkey Kong boards. Lame. And I completely overlook, like, what that game means to so many people. So for me, I voted Super Sluggers because it's the cameo game, like, outside of Smash, maybe, it's the cameo game with the most Donkey Kong stuff. The most Donkey Kong characters, just full-on representation. And I wasn't really taking into account that people don't really talk about the Mario baseball games all that much outside of, hey, K. Rool appeared in that one. So, I felt like I needed a cameo game on my list, and I'm the worst person to pick a cameo game. So that's why I struggled there.
Yeah, I think most of the Mario sports, outside of Kart, if you consider it one of them, it's kind of it's a little bit of a trap. It's just a little bit of a trap to think that, like, oh, these get so many games, people must really, really love them, and maybe like Toadstool Tour or one of the tennis things
Tennis things.
The tennis things, maybe the Game Boy Color ones when they're kind of RPGs. Like any of that, I thought about those things, and I think probably all three of us did, but they just aren't. They're not really that beloved. They just aren't there. They don't make the same kind of like jump to people's hearts the way that of those like cameo games with the big rosters that the cart games or the party games or, well, especially Super Smash Brothers. Really, Super Smash Brothers is elevated several leagues beyond what we're talking about here. They get into people's hearts in a way that like Mario Baseball just ain't gonna. I think Strikers, I was kind of waiting for one of you guys to say Strikers, because I felt like that one is the ultimate trap of like, yeah, say that soccer game is really fun, and then play the soccer game. Like, oh, yeah, it's, I don't know, soccer.
Yeah, I think that part of the thing is that our lists are going to end up being judged mostly on the core things that we have. And if our core things, there probably should be 4 out of our 5 games should probably be for our, this should be core things. Donkey Kong, Banjo, Conquer, like really core concepts to the DKU. Probably 4 out of our 5 games should be that, ultimately. And if you're going to deviate from that, then the next best thing is Super Smash Brothers, and then the next best thing is Mario Kart, and then the next best thing is someone. And you run into this issue at that point of like, everybody likes Mario Golf for the N64, probably, but it's not going to move the needle for voters in like a list of top 5 DKU games. So you struggle with that. I think that's an issue. Mario Super Sluggers is a cool game because it's got that wealth of DKU content, or Donkey Kong Country content, more so than a handful of Donkey Kong video games.
He's trying to be very tactful here.
I'm not. I don't give a shit. Like, fucking, you know what? Make a Donkey Kong game and fucking put Donkey Kong shit in it, dummies. But it's fine. It's fine. But I'll say this much: when I'm looking right now at our lists. We talked earlier about how Donkey Kong Country 3 might have been one of the bigger pieces on the board that was left for someone to grab, and I grabbed it. I came into this list with one piece on the board that I was hyper-focused on, and I did not get it. I went into this list very much thinking that a high-value game was called Donkey Kong 64. And I obviously, I had the opportunity to pick it, and clearly I didn't. I picked Country 3 when I had the chance, because I just thought, that's the best game out there. I better grab it now. But Donkey Kong 64, before I could have grabbed it, I didn't grab it. Maybe I should have. But I thought that there's a high percentage of our audience that their biggest thing is going to be games made by Rare in the 1990s, right?
Yeah.
And then Donkey Kong 64, I think to some people, is seen as a divisive game that, we see there's a lot of flaws in it. But for another pool of voters, Donkey Kong 64, there's like a younger crowd that it's not divisive. It's just nostalgic. That's the game that they grew up with. They did not grow up with the Super Nintendo. They grew up with Donkey Kong 64, and that's huge. But Donkey Kong 64 hits on a lot of buckets. It hits on the 3D platformer collectathon thing, and we already had the Banjo games off the table. So you can't pick Banjo, you can't pick Banjo-Tooie. You could pick Yooka-Laylee, or you could pick DK64, or Mitchell picked Conker's Bad Fur Day. So you've got those options, but it hits on that bucket of a 3D platformer. It hits on being a core Donkey Kong game, because the biggest part of our audience are Donkey Kong fans. It also hits on being a game made by Rare in the 1990s, that classic nostalgia for that. And so I really, really went into this thinking Donkey Kong 64 is a high value pick that is maybe not going to go in the first round. So I thought maybe it will hit a lot of buckets, but I won't want to grab it first. And then I ended up not being able to get it. So, good job, Hyle. You got it.
Yeah, I was thinking in terms of Bonanza, and 3D Donkey Kong games are a hot topic right now, and kind of elevates Donkey Kong 64 a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about it from the perspective of Bonanza, maybe descalating Donkey Kong 64 a little bit, of like, it felt maybe in the moment, and I don't know how true this was, but it felt like people were looking at Bonanza and they were like, oh, finally the good Donkey Kong 3D platformer is happening. And maybe it's not happened yet because Bonanza has not yet come out. But I do think there's a little bit of that there, of like waiting for the really tightly designed one of the two Donkey Kong 3D platformers that was maybe putting Donkey Kong 64 down a little bit. In my head, 64, Jungle Beat, and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts were like the three things. Like, well, these are objectively pretty big, but I don't know if people are going to hate them too much, right? Like, there's divisive stuff in there. And no, I think you did a really good pick, though. I don't think that... I now am sure, in fact, that Donkey Kong 64 is not one of those. It's not a ultimately beloved game in the way that a lot of other Donkey Kong games are, but I don't think it's poisonous to have at all.
For a list that's being voted on by DK Vine patrons, absolutely not. Like, if this was an IGN straw poll or something, sure.
Yeah.
So we are vastly approaching the 3-hour mark. We have to do it. We have to move on. We have to say it all. It's about to happen.
Jeff, you didn't even list your games.
Or mine.
I listed
just say them and we can do it fast.
Just say it.
Did I not? Well, I'm sorry, fellas. And audience. Okay, I listed Hyle's. You've heard them. Here's mine. Jeff, the Atlanta Rhythm section. I had Donkey Kong Country 3, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and Yooka-Laylee. It's a very good list, probably the best list.
I like your list, Jeff. I do think you have smart picks, even if you didn't get the game you wanted to draft. I think you made up for it.
Thank you. Yeah, the first two I thought were two of the heaviest hitters that were left off of the first round. I think that the first two of all of our lists, I think if you take the first two off Hyle, the first two off mine, and the first two off Mitchell, those 6 are probably the top picks that were excluded from the first round of 15. They're all great.
What even are mine?
Well, let's find out. Mitchell, the San Diego Pod Race. His 5 games are Mario Kart 8, Conker's Bad Fur Day, DK King of Swing, Mario Party 3, and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about, like, games from before the Rare buyout, especially 3D platformers, especially, like, core DKU, I identified, maybe incorrectly, I guess,
we'll find
Conker's
out.
Bad Fur Day as the one that I think both of you thought of as, like, DK64 or DKC3. I thought Conker would be would really be the thing that moves the needle.
It is my thinking was it was one. It was definitely one. It was like it is a high value game. If one of the three of us could get that game, it's gonna be high value. I just personally thought that DK64 would probably be higher.
Mm.
And then both of those games are probably viewed as divisive and some people don't like. But if you want to even get yourself a step above that and outside of that, then you just say, well, DKC3 is just... That game's accepted as good. That's not divisive in the way that DK64 or Conquer's Bad Fur Day are viewed. But all of them, I think that all of us understood the assignment that you needed to have one of those games that were made by Rare in the 90s. Each one of us got one of them that was left over from last draft. There were 15 games taken last draft. This draft, Hyle got DK64, I got DKC3, Mitchell got Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Those, I think, were the big three classic nostalgia games that had not yet been drafted. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Woo! All right. Well, let's open the envelope. Are we all ready to do it? We're going to do it.
I'm scared again.
Don't be scared. All right, I've opened it. Mitchell is going to come in at third place.
Oh!
On the games list only. Again, we're going to add up these results, so we're going to do one thing at a time. Here we are looking at the games list. Mitchell has scored third place, 18%.
That is very bad.
It's it's not good.
Mitchell, I'm sorry, buddy. You had some good games on there.
I thought so. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty shocked by it. Because I didn't feel like the three of us were, and any of us, I didn't think any of us were worlds apart. I thought we all had solid lists. So
You know what I think it is, if I can put one reason on it?
Sure.
I drafted Conquer's Bad Fur Day and I didn't believe in it. I don't like that game. I really don't like that game. And I think someone in the audience, or maybe multiple people in the audience, felt that I was being disingenuous, and it's bit me in the ass.
See, I think Conquer got you some of the votes. I think Jungle Beat, if anything, was your poison pill.
I wonder if there's a percentage of voters that are anti-Conquer's Bad Fur Day, and maybe there's a percentage of voters that are anti-Jungle Beat, and that's two games that I think are good, two games that I like a lot, but two games that either one of them could have a voter base that are anti-votes.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I am a strong actual believer in Jungle Beat. I believe it's
it's
like
a really
cool,
good game.
good
No,
game.
I think
And
all three
I'm
of us.
also not
all
a
three of
believer
us.
at all in Conquer's Bad Fur Day, and I don't know what it would. I will never know what specific game was my undoing here, but I do think
You'll never
that
know.
just the karmic value of doing something I don't believe in hurt.
I'll say this really quick, because I know Jeff is looking at the time and being like, are we actually going to hit 5 hours on this?
It's okay. We can.
I will say that
get
Jungle
to.
Beat is a fantastic game, and any gamesman with a pedigree will agree on that. But it's kind of lacking what a lot of Donkey Kong fans go into a game looking for. Any recognizable elements from before or even after, because what is carried over from Jungle Beat, it's kind of an anomaly. It's kind of a blip on the timeline. And I feel like Jungle Beat is a game we can go on about. It's actually really good, but you have to play it with the DK bongos on the GameCube. And there's all these like all these requirements to actually like gel with the game and really understand it. And I feel like the majority of people have probably only played it with a controller or the new Play Control version that are listening to this, and they don't really understand Jungle Beat.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that it stars a young Cranky Kong, but we don't have the time to go into that.
No, don't bring your little theories into this. Theories on the Kongversation.
It just makes a lot more sense if it's true. But, what's next, Jeff?
What's next is the next thing. The next thing is... I wasn't paying attention. What is it?
Second place.
What? Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah, who's in second place?
All right.
Who's on first?
Third place was Mitchell. Okay. Thank you guys for waking me up. I really fucked up there. Okay, Mitchell got third place. And the second place on our character list, our games list. Sorry.
I'm gonna be so pissed if Jeff wins because he's just not in it anymore.
All right. Hyle, before we started this episode, said, "Jeff, you're really in charge of this one," and I think that it got
to you.
It put me under too much pressure. I'm fucking it up. One chance. It's my one chance to prove that when Hyle's 112, I could run the website. All right. So, all right. DKU games, that was Mitchell. He scored 18%. The next team who came in second place is Hyle. The sloppy second scored 33% on the games.
So much more than mine.
It is a lot more. It is.
I really lived up to my team name, though. I was sloppy second all the way through.
That's true. You were. And you've beaten Mitchell in overall score so far. Even including the bonus points, so far, Hyle is leading the score. Because, of course, Mitchell got 6 bonus points off of our backlogged review question bonus round. We did all that. And but Hyle also got 5 points. We're looking at all that. Hyle, did you think that you were going to get second place?
I thought I was going to get third.
Hyle, you got second place in characters and you got second place in games. Did you think that?
No. I thought I whiffed this completely. I thought I was a botched job on my part. I was going into this just ready to laugh it off about what a miserable draftsman I actually am, but I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked.
All right, well, no sense in delaying the inevitable. People at home are already doing the math. The score on the games, for the games list, I got first place on the games list. The Atlanta Rhythm section, I scored 49% on that list.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That's obscene.
If you do that math...
Objectively obscene.
Oh my God. If you do the math, Mitchell scored only 18 on that list. And Hyle scored 33, which 33 is exactly what you would score if you got exactly a 3-way split, right?
So Jeff took all of my fairness points.
And so out of 200, the average point should be 66 each, but Mitchell got on top of that an additional 6 bonus points, and Hyle got on top of that an additional 5 bonus points. So, out of 200, we're not looking at 66, 66, 66. There's some bonus points in there. Here are the final scores. Oh, you want me to just
and a Mario Party.
Yeah, let's just do them.
Yeah.
We'll just jump right in. Let's just do it. There's no sense. Okay, so coming in at third place this year for the DKU Double Draft is Mitchell.
That's so messed up. It's just not cool, guys. I had some good stuff this time. I had some good stuff this time.
Mitchell has scored, out of a possible 200 and bonus, Mitchell has scored 62 points.
I want to pet Mitchell on the head.
He's
wanna let him know
doing
it's all right.
all right. He's doing all right. We love having him. We I am so shocked because literally I didn't think going into this that any of the three of us had any advantage in either of the two drafts. But it is what it is. So Mitchell scored 62. Hyle is coming in at second place. With 74 points. That's after his 5 bonus points are included. And although Mitchell and Hyle each had bonus points to account for, the person who is going to go ahead and win it all this year on the DKU draft is Jeff with a total score of 75 out of 200 in bonus. I didn't get any bonus. Is bonus good? Did you guys get bonus? What's bonus? Is that?
I came close. I got close to you with my bonus points.
75 to 74 to 62. That's the final score. 75 to 74 to 62.
What's so crazy about that is that you got last place with characters.
Yeah.
And no bonus points.
By a lot.
It
wasn't even close.
Only the margin on your games list, which is good, but I also don't get it.
My games list got 49. How did my games list get 49% of the vote? My games list is not that better than your guys's.
I think I would have voted for yours, personally, but I also don't know why.
Right?
I'll tell you what it is. Jeff. You got the Bonanza bump. I voted for Donkey Kong 64 thinking I'd get the Bonanza bump, not taking into account how relevant Donkey Kong Country 3 has become.
You did not take into account that Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle has has Donkey Kong on it.
That is a still very strong list. I don't think the DKU... I don't know if DK Vine has appropriately covered Mario plus Rabbids.
Not enough
in terms of how many people like it.
Not enough.
In very very similar in that specific way, maybe to Viva Pinata, of just like this is a thing a lot of people really really like, and it's not always talked about. Yeah, you know what? You had an original rare Donkey Kong Country, and you had the Smash Brothers with Subspace Emissary in it. And you had an RPG. It's a good list.
I had the best Banjo game that was left on the table. I said that when I drafted it.
You had the best remaining Banjo game.
Honestly, yeah, I think Grunty's Revenge, when you look at the lineage of that handheld team, and especially what we call the THQ4, I think Grunty's Revenge will always be the most popular of those four. Like, I think Saber Wolf is a better game, but I think
Saber Wolf should be the most popular.
But I think Grunty's Revenge scratches that itch.
When you look at all that, there's an element of, if you want a Banjo game that's not going to be Banjo-Kazooie or Tooie, because those are off the table.
Yeah, it was the best one. It was the best one remaining.
Nuts and Bolts offers up divisiveness. It offers up, some people will hate pick against it. So, I don't know. Grunty's Revenge felt like, yeah, I'm hitting on that same category. I'm getting the 3D platformer, I'm getting the Banjo-Kazooie game, but it's one that people will like, nobody will hate. Anyways, I just am very good at this.
Yeah, you know what's disgusting about all of this? We had a year to kind of reformulate our strategies, figure out where we went wrong or right last time around. And we still all wound up in the exact same place, the exact same position. Jeff won again. I was in the middle. Mitchell came in third.
That's insane to me because I gave you guys the bonus questions, and in the way the bonus questions worked out, Mitchell, if he got all 5 of his right, he could have gotten 10 points. And then if, Hyle had his, whatever. My point being, I thought that was going to screw me. I really thought I was giving you guys too much free points. It turned out that even with free points...
even with the best points.
You can only do what you can do.
Yeah. Okay, back in the day, back in like I want to say 2009 or 10, there was an article on DK Vine, not written by anyone on this call. I don't remember who it was, but they were going through like the top 10 DKU games of that decade, the 2010, not the 2010s, the 2000s, from 2000 to 2009, and at that time in that list, it seemed like it was written with the foregone conclusion of, oh, well, we all agree here in the DK Vine community. The best game of the 2000s in the DKU was obviously Conker's Bad Fur Day. And I wonder if me reading that list one time and feeling weird about it has really influenced how I think other people think about Conker's Bad Fur Day. I think that maybe it's the shine is off the apple all the way for everyone. Or a lot of people. Maybe. I don't know. But I do think that Donkey Kong 64 was a great pick for Hyle. I think that Jeff's pick is just very, very strong in general for the whole list. I guess I need to do better. I just should feel bad. Yeah.
No, I don't think you should feel bad. I don't think you should feel bad.
Don't worry. I am feeling bad. Don't worry.
All right. Well, I'm not worried. You get to feel bad. You're allowed to.
I feel like if this was any other community, any other online video game space, you would probably beat us both times. You just haven't taken into account how depraved our audience actually is.
That's why I got Conker for them. I don't like that game. I think Conker's Bad Fur Day is bad.
He really does think this, yeah.
I really do think that.
He hates Conker's Bad Fur Day. But that's why it wasn't a genuine pick for you. You were... Yeah, they could see right through you.
I think so. I think they saw the pandering.
Voters always know.
They know. Sorry, I don't know why.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.